Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to CAA Media Day here on the field of 68. For the next 6 hours, Jeff Goodman, myself, John Fanta, and Maria Marino are going to be breaking down and interviewing all of the head coaches in the CAA on both the men's and women's sides. We're also going to be joined by the preseason player of the year in the CAA. We're going to talk about that in 1 second. The preseason all CAA first teams, and we're going to give you the predicted order of finish based on the preseason poll coming out of the CAA. Let's start with this, Jeff. Towson, Charleston, UNCW, Hofstra. Those are the predicted top four based off of the preseason poll that come out of the CAA. You like that? You agree with it? I know you're a big Charleston guy. Are you able to set your biases aside and recognize that Pat Skerry's got himself a squad this year?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I would have Towson number one. Chris Mack's team is good, and especially at the 4-5 spot. But you know, you got a new coach, hasn't been at Charleston, with a bunch of guys that he's never. And on the flip side, you've got a Towson team that returns, you know, most of its core at this point. You know, they lost to Charleston last year in the semis, but this. You know, Pat Skerry, I can't wait to talk to him about, like, how did he get guys back? Because you look around the country, whether it's within the league or certainly out of the league, and we've talked to enough coaches and seen enough of these schools. Most of them, you don't have type of retention. So I don't know what's good. Maybe it's just a gentler, kinder Pat Skerry, Rob. But they like him. They like him, obviously. It doesn't.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're excited to talk to Pat Skerry. That's got to be the first time that those words have ever been uttered in the history of college basketball, in the history of his tenure as the coach at Towson. We can roll through the rest of the preseason CAA predicted order of finish. Delaware was 5th, Northeastern 6th, William & Mary 7th, with Monmouth, Stony Brook, North Carolina A&T, Drexel, Elon, Campbell, and Hampton rounding out the preseason rankings. Let's unveil the first and second team preseason all CAA teams as well. Ante Brzovic from Charleston was the preseason player of the year. And at about 10:45, he's going to be joining Jeff Goodman to be able to get a little interview and talk to him about what it means to be named preseason player of the year, coming back to school, joining Chris Mack after spending last season on Pat Kelsey's staff. Gabe Dorsey from William & Mary, Landon Glasper from NCA&T, Kyrese Mullen from Hampton, and Tyler Tejada from Towson round out the preseason all CAA first team. We're actually going to be talking to Monte Ross here in about 90 seconds, and we will definitely be mentioning Landon Glasper in that conversation. The second team preseason all CAA team, CJ Fulton from Charleston, Christian May from Towson, TK Simpkins from Elon, one of a set of twins on the Elon roster, Jeff. TK Simpkins and TJ Simpkins. I can't wait to talk to Billy Taylor about this. It's got to be the first time in college basketball history that you've had twins on the same roster that are in different classes. And then Masai Troutman at Northeastern and Jarrett Valencia from Monmouth round out the preseason all CAA team. Jeff, any surprises here? Anything that stood out to you? And tease a little bit of what you're going to be talking about with Ante when you catch up with him at 10:45.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any surprises with most of these preseason polls because we have no idea what to expect in this day and age because there's been so much turnover in every league. So I think on of it is just, you know, again, you're picking the team with the most retention, the guys that you know the best, and that's kind of again what Towson had. That, and you're taking programs. You're really picking programs more than anything else right now. My conversation. What a great kid and what a great story. You know, kid who obviously had no offers a couple of years ago. Now he's the CAA season player of the year.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I think we have Monte Ross here, and let's bring him in. North Carolina A&T coming off of a 7-25 season. Finished 12th place last year in the CAA. Monte, you returned your top 4 scores and 7 of your top 9 players. You had 9 guys that started double-digit games last year. 7 of them were back. That's not usual in college basketball in 2024.
No, I thought we were able to retain Most of our roster, someone told me the number was 83%. Excuse me. And when I heard that, I said, well, that's good news and that's bad news because we won 7 games last year. So, but we were able to go into the transfer portal and get a couple of guys. And I think, like you guys mentioned earlier, listening to you, when you have retention in this day and age of college basketball, that's really rare. But it helps in terms of practice and guys knowing what you're trying to do and what you're all about. It really helps with the new program, I believe, like ours, us just taking over, because now you don't have to start over with your culture in terms of, rules, regulations, expectations, more than expectations, standards. And I think that's what we're ahead of the game in that, because we have so many guys back from last season.
Yeah, I think the first thing that we got to talk about is Glasper. First team All League guy. He went into the portal. He's coming back to your program. I think that says a lot, Monte, about who you are, what you represent, and what you're trying to build at A&T. You got a guy who averaged 20 points a game in a really good league that decided, I'm going to go see what's out there, but I'm coming back to school.
I appreciate you saying that. And
all right, I think we lost Monte there. We're going to see if we can get him back here in a second. But do you agree with me, Jeff, with Landon Glasper portaling and then coming back to the program? That is something that stands out to me when it comes to evaluating what these teams look like and kind of what the culture is at these programs.
Well, Monte said it best, right? They return everything. That's great, but they didn't win a lot of games last year. And they were hammered by injuries. That was the biggest thing for him in his first year at NCAA is, again, and Landon were missed 7 straight games. He had came in Shell before at Coffeyville Community College, so they knew each other. He came in. You don't often see guys in their first year of Division I basketball have the level of success that Landon Glasper. I think a lot of it was his familiarity with his backcourt mate.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that stood out to me, kind of looking at their rosters and the breakdown here, and hopefully we're going to get Monte back in a second, but they brought 3 sophomores coming back into the program. The thing that is so tough to do, and as we kind of roll through these media days here, Jeff, the thing that, and I'm gonna get your take on this, Monte. The thing that is so tough to do is go and get freshmen, develop them, and grow them within your program, right? Like there's a window where you have to be able to get some of this stuff done. And I think that with 3 sophomores in Uchenna, Kelman, Nichols, Jalal McKee, and Nicholas, I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher your last name here, but Chidkudis, I think you look at those 3 as the core and the development process of what you want to be able to grow here at A&T.
Yeah, I mean, again, and we'll see, does Will Felton come back and be healthy? There's some there, but you're trying to build something. And the good thing is at least Monte knows he's got coming back because again, all our experience within the program. And I think that's huge for taking a step forward.
Mm-hmm. All right, Monte, we got you back here. You got 3 sophomores that you are going to be rolling with that look like kind of the core of what you want to build here. And please tell me if I'm getting these names wrong because I want to apologize to them. But Uchenna, Jalal, and Nicholas, how important was it to get those 3 guys back to kind of start the culture that you're building?
Like we talk about experience in this day and age is something that's rare, and it's something that you have to capitalize on. And hopefully that we'll be able to do it. I think our practices have been a little bit smoother. Again, I think it takes, maybe a year or 2 to really establish your culture, especially when you bring in new guys. And us coming back from last year, I thought we made some great strides with that. And those guys returning will definitely help the newer guys, the transfers, and the freshmen understand exactly what's needed and what we're trying to do.
Yeah. So you you had a great deal of success when you were at Delaware earlier, and now I think the way that college basketball, especially at this level, operates has changed. How is it? How are you going about building your program differently, and what is still the same? I mean, at the end of the day, you still got a ball, you still got to put it in the hoop, and you still got 13, 15 guys on your roster.
Yeah, it's you're right. It's very different in the respect that at Delaware, when we were there, you expected to bring in a freshman, take your lumps, have a sophomore, have a junior. Nowadays, you just don't know. You don't know if those kids are going to be around. And to be honest with you, I don't fault the kids because that's just the day in the life of college athletics today. And, you just have to take it with a grain of salt and just understand it is what it is. If you're I always tell my staff that, man, we can do one of two things. We can sit around and complain about it and beat our heads against the wall and eventually be pouring concrete or laying tar roofs, or we can figure this thing out and enjoy it and embrace it. And that's what we choose to do. We choose to embrace, figure out that, okay, the building process that we did at Delaware is going to be different here at North Carolina A&T just because of the evolution of the sport. But again, like I was saying before we got cut off, fortunately for us, we were able to retain Landon Glasper because, we were able to pay him $1 million. And being able to do that, again, I'm just kidding. No, we weren't able to do that. But I think it was the culture, it was the camaraderie, it was the fans, it was the support, everything that he gets here. And we're hoping to extend that to all of our other players. When you're good, you're going to get that type of support. And I think he appreciated that. So that's what we have to lean on in this day and age of college athletics is we have to lean on all the positives that we have here at North Carolina A&T to build the program, and hopefully we can have a high retention rate like we had this past year.
All right, Monte, you take away the first 5 weeks of the season, right? And you take away the last 5 weeks of the season, and you just look at that stretch of time from December 16th to February 1st. You guys were 7-6. You were sitting there at 5-4 in the CAA. That would have been on track for a top half finish in a really good league. How do you take that 6-week stretch in the middle of the season and turn it to basically a 5-month season? How do you do that?
Well, I'll tell you what, and not making excuses because everybody, I believe, goes through injuries and that sort of thing. We didn't get a big man until December the 17th, 18th. We were playing with a 6'6" guard in the post. And then, once we did get one of our big men back, Jason Murphy, we were able to sort of round ourselves into shape. For us, we were sitting at 4-2, tied for second in the conference. And then Landon went down in the Delaware game. From that point on, not only did we lose Landon, we lost another starter, Nikos Hidakudis, and we never had our full team back after that. So I think a lot of it for us is going to be health. If we can stay healthy, we'll have a chance to, like you said, extend that couple weeks period into the course of a season. And that's what I'm really, really excited about with this group.
So noted. That's Shida Kudis. That is exactly how I pronounced it the first time that I tried to say that.
Kudis. I love when he comes in my office. I shout, "Hit the Kudis!"
All right, Monte. We're gonna end it with this, man. All right, we're going off topic. We're going away from basketball here for a second. All right, I just moved to Mount Laurel, New Jersey. I live right outside Philly. Right.
Okay.
My son is now a die-hard Eagles fan. Are they going to turn this thing around, man? Are the Birds cursed forever? Am I going to have to explain to them why heartbreak just happens every year in the NFL? Or are they going to find a way to get this thing going this season?
Well, here's the thing. We have a quarterback, all right? We have a running back. We have key position players that are really, really good. A.J. Brown, Smitty, and unfortunately, Dallas Goedert just went down. But we have a backup tight end that's going to be okay. Everything's all right. We're not going to burn down the whole place. We're not going to burn down the NovaCare complex. Everything's all right. We just have a little growing pains. And you remember, we were beat up A.J. Brown just came back. And, I think what has to happen is, we have to just stay the course and we'll be all right. We need, we got to get my man Nick Sirianni to leave the fans alone, though. We can't be egging on the fans and all that kind of stuff, man. Philly's a tough town. You don't want to do that. But no, tell your son everything's okay. We're going to be fine. We'll start stringing together a couple wins here, and he'll be a happy camper.
Well, our producer Dagan Hughes is also a diehard Go Birds guy, so he's glad to get that from you. Monte, it's great to catch up, man. It's always good to see you. We're gonna let you go. You had an audience back there in the background on the upper deck of whatever you had behind you over there, so they ducked in and realized that you were doing something like this, and then sprinted out of there. So I don't know who it was. Tell them we said we Field of 68 appreciates that. Best of luck this season, man. Always great to see you.
Aggie Pride, thanks for everything you guys do for us, man. We really, really appreciate it.
Appreciate you, man. We coming up next, we got Speedy Claxton, the head coach at Hofstra, who is dealing with about as much turnover as anybody in the league. If we're going to bring Speedy in now, I believe he is ready to go. And Coach, what's going on, man? It's great to see you. Welcome to CAA Media Day here on the Field of 60.
Good morning, Rob. How's everything, man? Good to see you.
Everything is good. Everything is good. It's a great day for you specifically because Jeff Goodman's internet connection was not working very well, which means that you get to talk to me and you don't even have to deal with him. So first and foremost,
great morning.
All right. So you spent the last 3 years, 3 seasons there, 20 wins in each of those 3 years, CAA Player of the Year in each of those 3 years. And then you kind of found the downside of what happens in mid-major basketball right now, right? You got a couple guys that transferred out. Tyler Thomas was not eligible for his 38th season of eligibility, unfortunately. So you guys got some turnover. How do you go about rebuilding and reloading and regrouping in an offseason like this?
Honestly, I think we're in the same boat as everyone else. I think everybody's retooling, rebuilding their roster. So, we just we brought in some good players that we really believe in and we like, and we're just gonna develop them to the best of our ability, just like we did, Aaron Estrada and Tyler Thomas and Jaquan Carlos and Darlington Dubois. So we're gonna put our head down and keep developing the players that we have.
So the name that kind of popped off to me because I watch a lot of Big East basketball is Jaquan Sanders, right? He's a guy coming in from Seton Hall. He's a guy coming in that played for Shaw. You know what kind of coaching he's going to get there, the way that he's going to play, the style that he's going to play, the toughness that he's going to bring. What have you seen from him?
Jake Stacks, as we call him, he's a good player, but he's here for his first year, and he's going to have some ups and downs. He started off really slow in the summer, but then in the fall he picked it up, and he had some really good practices. But the biggest thing for him is going to be consistency right now, and we got to get him out of his lazy habits. But he's definitely going to play a vital part of our, he's going to be a vital part of our team. He's a really good player, and we're happy and we're fortunate to have him.
You're a point guard. You know the value of point guards. You've had great point guards at Hofstra. Who's kind of next in line there? Is it Kajan Robinson? Is it Jaquan? Like who's stepping into that role? That big shoes to fill.
That is a great question, Rob. And I was just talking to one of my assistants about that this morning, Colin Curtin. Everybody's expecting us to have a great guard. And I think, over the course of time, it's just somebody's just gonna develop into that next great guard. I really can't point a finger at who's going to be next, although somebody's going to be next. We can rest assured of that. But I think it's too early to tell right now.
Someone's got to play point guard, right? There's got to be someone that brings the ball up the floor. Someone's got to be putting those ball screens. The guy you got coming, so you only have 17 total starts. I did the math. I'm good at math. I'm good at numbers. 17 total starts coming back. 16 of them are German Plotnikov. Did I get that right? How close was I?
German.
So it's the way that it should be, exactly as it reads. What are you going to get from him this season, stepping into a bigger role, leadership guy?
Yeah, he's an older guy. He's been here for 2 years already. So he knows what we're doing offensively and defensively. So hopefully we can just get some leadership out of him. Obviously, you want him to take that next jump. Maybe average 12 points a game. But overall, just leadership and showing the new guys how we do things here.
That's the thing that always interests me when you go through this much turnover, right? Like how we do things here. Who can show them that, right? Like how long does it take for that to happen? The thing that I always think about is, when I was playing, when we had guys and we had players coming back, if a coach called a drill he wanted or asked somebody to run a set, you had guys go out there and they were able to do it. When you have like one or two guys coming back, like that's hard.
That's the tough part about the landscape that we're in now. I find myself when I'm introducing something on the offensive side, like I call out, returners, and I look, and the guys that come out there, I mean, they didn't really play any minutes for me last year, so it's totally new for everyone. So it's a lot of teaching, and we might be behind, but I mean, we have to go with what we have, and it's going to take time. It's going to take time with so many new guys. We can't skip steps though.
So who of these new guys, who has impressed you? Who's kind of, I know we're probably going to get the coach speak answer here, right? But who's shined? Like who's gotten better?
If I had to say one specific person, I would probably say Gene Goen, transfer from Iona. He's a really good player, downhill driver, capable shooter, but he's just a real tough, hard-nosed player, and he's a Hofstra guard.
Mm-hmm. You guys targeted a lot of guys that are coming out of that metro area, right? Is that who you're looking for? The players that play that style, that play from that area? And I got bad news for you, Speedy. Look who's here.
Jeff is with us, huh? Almost missed him.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi isn't great. The Wi-Fi isn't great out here at UNLV. They need to upgrade their Wi-Fi, evidently. How are you, man?
Great, man. How are you doing?
I'm good. So my
always
big question
good to see you, Jeff.
You too.
He can lie with a smile on his face with the best of them. I saw that.
Hey, how I don't know if Rob's asked you this yet, but how are you doing with this changing landscape here? Obviously, you had a lot of turnover. I know you've kind of leaned into it for the most part and said to a lot of these kids, hey, you know what? I'm going to help you out find the best situation for you. It can't be easy, though, Speedy. It just can't be easy.
No, it's not, but we got to roll with the punches. These are the times that we're in. The kids that we develop into really good players, they have an opportunity to make a significant amount of money, and I can't stand in the way of that. Knowing some of their backgrounds, like we have to put them in the best position for themselves and their family. Well, it might be hurting us and our family, but in the end, we have to do right by the player.
Mm-hmm. So 3 straight 21 seasons. What has to happen? What's the most important thing for you guys to be able to get back to that level and get back to that number this year?
It's gonna be how quickly the guys that we brought in develop and buy into our system, buy into our culture. Throughout my past 3 years, even with those teams, it still took us time. Like with those 3 teams, we didn't really hit our stride till mid-February, so it's just going to take time. We can't be too hard on our guys here in the early start. We just got to give them time.
Well, listen, Speedy, it's great to see you. I'm sorry that we had to have Goodman over here Zoom bomb you on this call, but best of luck this season. We'll be following, we'll be watching, we'll be rooting along, and you have 3 straight CAA Player of the Year. So I'm saying someone's going to pop up, Jeff. Someone's going to surprise us from the Hofstra program.
That'll be nice.
Listen, man, we appreciate you being here. Thank you for jumping on CAA Media Day here on the Field of 68. We're going to be joined next by Martin Inglesby from Delaware. Before he comes in, I just want to say apologies for the technical difficulties. There were gremlins that were just kind of crawling around in Goodman's computer. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes Wi-Fi doesn't always cooperate. So we got him in a better situated spot, and you can see his ugly mug here live on CAA Media Day with us.
Yeah,
Martin Inglesby is joining us. The first question I'm going to ask Martin is, if you see that diagram on the whiteboard behind Goodman, there's
I'm going to add that to
for
our practice plan tomorrow.
Martin, what's going on, man? It's good to see you.
Always great to see you guys. Sorry about our fills this year, Rob, but what are we going to do?
Man, that was not a good finish. Goodman bought a Mets hat just to wear to troll us.
Yes.
Our producer Dagan is also a Phillies fan, just to troll us. That's just how nice he is. So let me start with this, man. You got 2 rotation guys back. How do you've been through it before, but how do you deal with this year after year after year when it comes to having to rebuild and reload and reintegrate all of these different guys into your program?
Yeah, I think it's challenging to say the least, but obviously we know it's not changing, and we got to be able to adapt to this new age of college athletics. I think the biggest thing was how quickly we could build our roster and get the kids on campus to get them acclimated to kind of what we do and how we do things, and get them as familiar with our place and the resources and the teaching and our style. And those guys were here early June. We got 7 new faces, 5 transfers, 2 incoming freshmen. And you're trying to develop chemistry and mold those guys as quickly as you can.
Martin, how good is this kid? I mean, you've gone the D1 transfer route here. You went the JUCO route. Like you said, you had a couple freshmen, and you added a Division II All-American. And I'm seeing more and more of this, and we are obviously through the D1 ranks. Eric Timko scored almost 2,000 career points over 3 years at Jefferson. How seamless is this transition going to be for him?
I think pretty seamless. I mean, he is a super talented offensive player, has scored a heck of a lot of points at the college level. One of our biggest Achilles heel last year was our ability to shoot the ball from the 3-point line. So there were some rumblings he was going to leave last year. We were familiar with him. And then when he put his name in the portal, he was the top guy on our board. We had to get him. He can really, really stretch the floor, an elite 3-point shooter, probably one of the best 3-point shooters that I've had a chance to ever coach. And we had some great ones back in the day at Notre Dame, the kid Nate Darling that we had here a couple of years ago. And he's more than that. That's the one thing that's most impressed me so far is he's more than just a 3-point shooter. He's got great strength. He can put it on the floor. He's crafty. And again, you've seen, especially at our level, Division II guys coming into the CAA and having great success. So we're going to need him to be able to find the net, put the ball in the hoop, and really be an aggressive offensive player for us.
Teron Allen, NEC tournament MVP at Wagner. I did our NEC previews for the Almanac last year, and I remember talking to Donald, who was a pretty big fan of him, was raving about him. What have you seen from him since he's arrived on campus?
Yeah, he's just a winner. We went through the recruiting process. He's got all the intangibles that go into being a highly effective basketball player at this level. And, he's versatile enough to be able to play on the wing or to be able to play a small ball 4 and 5. And he just wants to win. He wants to lead. He's got a really strong presence in our locker room as a voice, as a leader, really helping the young guys. So, as when you take 5 transfers, you take freshmen, as much as I'd like to be able to throw a ton at them, I'm trying to learn about our personnel. And I think he's a guy that really intrigues me as far as where we can put him on the floor. Kind of a jack of all trades type of guy, can rebound, can defend, can play the point, play the wing, post him up, all that kind of stuff. But just those winning qualities that he's had. And again, he's led a team to a championship. He was the most outstanding player of the NEC tournament. He just wants to try to lead a team back to the NCAA tournament.
All right, Martin. Again, you've been hit by the transfers year after year. Yesterday, we saw Tony Bennett retire at 55 years old. Virginia coach. You come from that kind of Notre Dame tree, which is very similar to Tony Bennett in a lot of ways, right? How much do you see this becoming an ongoing kind of thing with coaches, that are in their 50s that may say to themselves, I'm not sure I can deal with the changing landscape. Even for you, how difficult this has got to – it's only going to get tougher, not easier.
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate to coach against Tony as assistant at Notre Dame for a long time, and there's nobody I respect more as a coach and a teacher and an educator, just as a person, kind of how he ran his program, a first-class program at UVA. And, you know, I don't know his personal situation. Obviously, the narratives out there as far as Jay Wright and some of these coaches that have done it for a long time getting out because of the state of athletics. You know, I'm only 45 years old. I love what I do. The joy of going on the court every day and coaching and teaching and trying to get the best out of 18 to 22, 23, 24-year-old guys. You know, it's definitely challenging. I mean, at the mid-major level, there's a lot of times I sit back at night and have a glass of wine and say, what if I had Andrew Carr back on my team? What if I had Jameer Nelson on my team? What if I had Jair Davis? But, you know, we just got to continue to press on and adapt to it. And, you know, hopefully, you know, we can get this sport to a better place and put some guardrails in to be able to, you know, make it better. But it definitely is a challenging time, and everybody's trying to navigate it in a different way and figure out what, you know, what's most important to them and their family and the situations. And, but I do think good will come out of it, you know, whenever that happens. But there's obviously a lot of hypotheticals being talked about on campuses about, hey, if this happens, what are we doing? How are we reacting to it? And every athletic department, every AD and president and leaders trying to figure out what it means to their, you know, university.
Is there any thought to leaning into being the program that develops these guys, like saying, hey, look, Jair, you come in, you give us 2 years, maybe 3 years, and we will get you to the point where you can go and get on those high major rosters, you know, kind of leaning into being, I don't want to say the developmental program, but being the place that wins with these guys when they're younger, maybe get a higher level of talent than you normally get as a freshman to be able to get them to that high major level.
Yeah, I mean, I fought that sales pitch the last couple of years. I never thought I'd go down that road of talking to a student athlete about a 2-year contract. But with this new age of college athletics, we have a really talented freshman on our team who I'm very excited about. It's going to play a lot of minutes for us. And I found myself saying, hey, like, you know, give me 2 years. And, you know, we have a track record of success and development and opportunity. And then we'll see where we are. All right. I'll take you to Kate's on Main Street and buy you a beer when you're 20 years old, and we'll celebrate you going to somewhere else. As much as I don't want that to happen, I do think that's just part of some of these recruiting conversations. You know, a lot of times with incoming freshmen or even transfers, it says you want them to do well enough to help you win, but not too well, because the high majors, as we all know, have changed their recruiting philosophies and strategies, and they're not taking as many high school kids, and they're going to come pluck, you know, our top player, Hofstra's top player, Charleston's top player, to the point where I had a coach that's a good friend of mine last year called me in January. I thought he was calling about scheduling, but he's like, hey, can I pick your brain about 5 to 6 guys in your league? And, you know, let me know what you think, because they're going to be in the portal in about 2 months.
All right. Well, you know what? The last one I got for you, John Camden, played at Memphis, played at Virginia Tech. I think about as different a coaching styles as you can get at those two programs. I'm getting some Dylan Painter vibes there, Martin. Guy that didn't get a lot of minutes at the high major level, coming down to you guys. Dylan had a really good, what was it, 3-year run with you? Am I off base there?
No, 2.5. Yeah, I mean, we're going to need him to be an impact guy like Dylan was. You know, didn't maybe get the opportunity at Memphis or Virginia Tech that he liked, but he's a mature guy. He's confident. We're going to need him to score the basketball for us. Maybe not as much as a low post guy, but an impact guy that can come in from that level and really get some things done. You know, he's getting better and better, can really stretch the floor, make shots. He's a leader. He's got a strong presence within our locker room. So I hope he can produce at the level of Dylan Painter, but he's shown early signs of being able to do that.
Well, listen, Martin, I appreciate you being here. Look, I still got it. We still got it right here. Yeah,
Got
it
to
still
rebuild
goes
that roster
Phils.
a little bit.
It break
Yeah.
your heart. It still goes Phils.
Yeah.
Appreciate you being here. Best of luck this season, man. It's always great
All
to
right,
catch
guys.
up.
Great to see you. Yep. Sounds
Yep.
good.
Thanks,
See you
Martin.
guys.
Appreciate it,
Thanks,
man.
Martin.
Yep.
Coming up next, we're going to have Kevin McGeehan from Campbell, who I think one of the first things they're going to ask him, and as we're bringing Kevin in right now, Coach, you bring back 3 starters, you lost your top 2 scorers. Like it's a delicate balance that you kind of have to work through when you're dealing with college basketball in this day and age, right? Like I feel like when you get 3 guys back that started that many games for you, you got to feel kind of good about the continuity in the program right now.
Yeah, I think nowadays, first of all, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate all you do for our conference and college basketball as a whole. I think there's a balance, right? You're always trying to have experience, but bring in talent that's going to enhance or expand your ability to compete at a high level. I think we've done that, and that experience does help, particularly in our style of play. There's a fair amount of learning, which I think is our guys have picked up very quickly and very well. And I think that goes back to trying to select the guys that you think fit well. So being mindful of, trying to have your culture continue or enhanced with the kind of people that you have in your group, but then also having a stylistic fit for what matches how you're trying to accomplish what you're doing.
Kevin, you and I spoke a week ago, and I don't know, I expected you to be more down after losing your leading scorer, right? A guy who averaged almost 20 points a game in Delaware, so he goes to Arizona. But in fact, you were really, really optimistic here. Two guys, you're deeper, you're more athletic. These 6 new transfers, you felt like fit your program and your style very well. Give me a little bit about why you feel so good about this group, and in particular, some of these new guys, these transfers that are going to come in and make a major impact.
Well, I'm with them every day, and so I'm witnessing the competition level every single day. I've done this a long time, and I know what I can see. The guys that we added are talented. They're more athletic than we've been in the past across the board, and they're experienced. We've got a couple guys that have played at high levels and dropped down and whatever. Went to different places, but they're experienced. So there's a level of understanding how hard you have to work, how hard college basketball is, how much the daily input affects the overall, just how you approach things and the physicality of the game and all that kind of stuff. And that's been really big for us. I mean, we got a couple grad guys, and that those guys are, they've just been through it. So when you're at toward the end of your career, you kind of understand like, oh, this is my chance. This is my last run, or maybe some of them, maybe 2 years, but they've been through it a lot. So they really go after it in a different way because it feels like the clock is ticking for them.
So I think you got quite a bit of talent in your backcourt. You got Jason Sinani, honorable mention, preseason All CAA. I'm going to butcher this name. Gediminas Maksakis. Is that anywhere close? About a B plus on that? I'll give myself a B plus.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, and Elijah Walsh. So those are the 3 returners that I mentioned earlier. But I want to ask you about Cam Gregory, the transfer from St. Francis, because I remember talking with Rob Krimble before last season. He was really, really excited about what Cam could be as a sophomore. He averaged 13.5 points per game, a couple rebounds, a couple of assists. Athletic dude, 6'5" wing. How is he going to kind of fit into what you guys do this year?
Yeah, well, we actually played them last year, so we got to see him up close. And
yeah, he had 18 against you.
Yeah, terrific player. Really, calm, smooth. I was saying to Jeff the other day when we talked, sometimes I'm explaining things in a way to the group because there's so many new guys, and occasionally I'll kind of catch his eye to see, and he kind of looking at me like, yeah, I got it. You don't, I understand. And he just has a way of making everybody better. And he by no means is that in a disrespectful way. I just can tell that he has confidence in his ability to sort of have a handle on things. He can initiate the offense, relatively seamlessly for somebody that's brand new to us. And, he just has a way of kind of making people better. He can score a little bit from at the rim, a little bit mid-range. He can shoot the ball. He seems to put the ball in the right guy's hands at the right time. Just a lot of really good stuff, and I think really complementary to Jason's game.
All right, what you told me about Colby, Colby Duggan, 6'7" sophomore from my neck of the woods in Massachusetts, blew me away. Because generally, if you're not overly athletic, and I'm not saying he's not athletic or he wasn't, but right. It's hard to improve your athleticism that much. But what you told me about him again shocked me. Go into the jump that he has made and how he made it over the offseason.
Yeah, it's really impressive. We were really high on him coming in and probably threw a little too much on his plate right off the bat, trying to kind of teach him multiple positions and a little unsure of how he was going to find his footing, just trying to give him the best opportunity to start making things happen. And then this spring and summer, he just worked his tail off. I mean, the weight room, and what I had said to you, for those that don't know, is I haven't seen a guy take. You hear about guys that take the jump from freshman to sophomore year. That's pretty typical. You get your footing, you kind of understand how college basketball works, and you're ready to attack the off season with a different kind of fervor or whatever you want to call it. But I haven't seen a jump athletically like this, where he is a good athlete coming through the door, but he took a massive jump as far as his physicality, strength, and explosiveness that I haven't really seen happen before. I don't know if that's because some guys just sort of hit it earlier and they're already there when, they're already closer to their max point when they arrive on campus. But he had a massive, massive jump. It's led to confidence, an increased level of confidence. He's shooting the ball well. He's just playing so hard. And that is really catapulted his game. I think he's going to have a really good year for us.
Is he gonna? The last question I had for you was kind of what is going to happen in the front court, right? I feel like we see the talent that you have on the perimeter, on the wings, in your backcourt, and that's going to guys are going to earn their minutes. It's going to shake out however it shakes out. I had questions about the front court. You brought in some guys. You brought in Caleb. You brought in Taryn. You brought in Cam. You mentioned Colby. You brought in Eric. You mentioned Colby. How do you see the big guys? How do you see your front court? How do you see your forwards and your posts kind of shaking out this season?
Well, I mean, with Eric and Taryn, you got two really experienced guys that fit. Okay, so we call our center position the honcho because they're so involved in the offense, like the head honcho, right? Making all the decisions. We've had our honchos have led us in assists probably over half of the years that I've been the coach here. All right, so those guys have the ball in their hands. They got to make lots of decisions, and they're both terrific passers. They both have really good sense for the game, and they can shoot the basketball, which is important for us, okay, because we those guys are on the perimeter more than your traditional bigger guys. I think where that really has solidified that with a kind of two-headed monster, and Colby has the ability to go over there and play there a little bit to give us some minutes too. I think where we've really seen the fortification of the front court is Caleb Zerlini is terrific. He was a really good, I think, an all-conference player, defensive player of the year in his conference in Division II, played 4 years of college basketball. I believe he was 4th in Division II in blocked shots.
You are
really,
correct.
really.
I have that written down. I did my research, Kevin.
I couldn't remember if it was 3rd or 4th, but I knew he was up there, which is not easy to do, right? Doesn't matter the level. There's a knack for being able to do that. And he also was playing on the prim. He's a 4-man for them. So, sometimes you're pulled away from the basket. So you're not always in a position, but he gets a lot of them in a lot of different ways. He's also a terrific passer and a really, really good athlete. And then, I mentioned Colby, but then I call him but Israel Yah is really, really athletic, probably our best athlete, explosive. He's kind of energy, great offensive rebounder, more skilled than even I thought. Probably not quite the shooter, but he can make a 3, but he's super active. And so we have like different components. They all bring slightly different strengths to the table. I think it's going to allow us to mix and match some, and I think the biggest impact because of the athleticism improvement across the board is that we're going to be able to be a lot more aggressive defensively. And that's how we've been practicing, and it's starting to show up. What it's also doing for us is it's challenging our offense to handle more than we have in the past, because when we're playing against each other in the past, and we were a heavy gap, keep them in front, under on a lot of stuff type team. You get to learn to play that way, but when a team heats you up, all right, you haven't seen it quite as much when the lights are on, and we've been going up against each other with a lot more aggression, and I think it's really improved us on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, well, listen, Kevin, we appreciate you being here. It's always great to catch up. Best of luck this season. Coming up next on CAA Media Day, Jeff was able to catch up with Ante Brzovic down there in Charleston, where hopefully, he helped you try to find a spot. Jeff's been homeless in Charleston, so he was able to catch up with Ante Brzovic. And we'll go play that interview right now.
All right, now pleased to be joined by the CAA preseason player of the year, Ante Brzovic. And Ante, how does that sound, first of all? How does it sound coming from a guy that coming to the United States had no Division I offers, really, played at a D2 school and had to earn their way here?
Yeah, man, feels weird and amazing at the same time, I would say. Like you said, coming from a D2 school, no Division I offers, but it's been a really journey for me, and I really am enjoying my my college career, and I work hard for this, and it's a great honor to have. It's going to be a great year for us. I'm so looking forward to it.
So the big question that I think everybody had this past offseason, you had a coaching change. Pat Kelsey goes to Louisville, and you stick around. Why?
Yeah, there's been multiple reasons why I decided to stay, but I said it many times. Charleston really is my home right now, my second home. I spent, I would say, like probably 2 of the most beautiful college career years, and by the time since I started playing basketball as well. So it's been really fun for me, man. Met a lot of people who I really appreciate how much they put into us, how much they helped us build this program up. So I really feel like I owe them something, and to finish my last year as a college player, there's no really rather place I would rather be than here, man. So I'm really excited to be back here. It was crazy summer, but I'm really, really happy that I stayed.
Listen, you don't have to convince me. I moved down here, so I'm good. I haven't seen you on King Street lately. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but I understand your love for the city of Charleston, and obviously for the fan base here as well. All right, so last year you averaged about 12 and 6 in playing only about 22 and a half minutes a game. How do you think your role is going to change under new coach Chris Mack?
From what I've seen so far, it's going to be totally different. every coach has their own philosophy of how they play, how they like to do things change, and it's very subjective from their part. It's up to player to really adapt to that. So I had some amazing experiences with Coach Kelsey. Like, we won so many games. I'm really happy that he used to coach me. Now this year, like you said earlier, we have a brand new team, bunch of new guys coming in. Me as a senior, as my last year, like, there's a lot of expectation and a lot of responsibility on me. So there are some new things that we're gonna put into our game that we haven't seen my first 2 years here, which is obvious, since I mean it's a new coach coming in and stuff. But I really picked up, and I see guys really getting along together so far, and we're still working on it. But by the time the first game starts, we're gonna be ready.
More minutes, right? More minutes. I know Kelsey liked to play a lot of guys, not even minutes, but close to it.
Right.
It sounds like Chris Mack wants to play you until you put your hand up, Ante, and say, I'm tired and I want to come out.
That's the plan so far. I mean, it's really up to me to get to the point where I can play as much as I can. So I'm really working on it. But yeah, I think we can expect a shorter rotation. I think there's going to be 6, 7, 8 guys that are going to play heavy minutes, and maybe a couple more with just a rotation. But one thing about us, we have so much depth, and it's important because you never know who can be injured at some point. Who everybody's going to have to step in at some point. So just wait for your turn. Do your best to practice. Stay patient, and we're going to be fine.
When I talked to you 2 years ago, you were quiet. You were quiet. You were still trying to kind of find your way. Now I can see the difference. I mean, you're so outgoing, confident. You know this is kind of your team right now. How much has leadership been something that Coach Mack and their staff have preached to you?
Man, a lot. And it's not only them. I mean, the 2 years that I played here, I had some amazing leaders in my coaches, but also teammates. I mean, I can really name a few of them that really helped me really understand the importance of being a leader on the team and being vocal at all times and saying stuff. And I know guys expect that from me. It is true. Like me, naturally, I don't really talk a lot and stuff, but I'm really excited for my new role. I mean, it's something that some people can really dream of. So I'm really embracing it and so excited for it, man.
No, I love that. I love that. Like I said, it's cool to see you grow, not just on the court, but off the court. Again,
Right.
I'll never forget our conversation a couple of years ago when you were nervous. Like, I know you were nervous going into that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And now you can just see kind of the confidence that you have. And it's going to be fun to watch you this year. All right, my final question to you. With this new NIL package that you've gotten, why haven't I got an invitation for like dinner at Hall's? Like, what are we waiting for here?
You absolutely. These past couple of weeks have been really, really busy, but I can get us into Hall's for I would say 2 weeks from now. So I would expect you to be there one night for a medium rare New York strip steak. That's my
go filet. I'm with you with a medium rare. I'm with you. You had me at medium rare.
That's the only way to eat it. Yeah.
Yes, I agree with you. I go filet. I try I'll try a strip steak once in a while, and then I always regret not sticking with the filet. So maybe I'll have a bite of yours and make sure, like, see what the Hall strip steak is like. But we'll do it. We'll do it. It's on me.
Absolutely.
Until you get to be my age, no matter how much NIL you make, I'm still paying, right?
Oh, nah, I would. If I invite somebody for a dinner, I'm expected to pay. It don't really matter, but I'm a keep you on that. So for this time though.
Listen, congrats, CAA preseason player of the year, Ante. Now you got to get CAA postseason player of the year, which is more important.
Absolutely. I mean, some of the people asked me, and I was like, I'm not really sure how I feel about this because I know the two guys that were preseason 2 years ago, the last 2 seasons, didn't win it eventually. So I was like, I don't know about this, but it's time to but I guess it's time to break that bad history of it. So if it's got to be somebody, hopefully it's going to be me.
All right, there he is, the CAA preseason player of the year, Charleston big man, Ante Brzovic. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you, man.
If that wasn't enough Charleston basketball talk for you, we are now joined by Chris Mack. Mack is back, baby, and he's not here as a member of the Field of 68. He is back as a head coach in the CAA, the coach down there at Charleston. Mack, how much extra did you have to get put into your contract knowing that Goodman was going to move down to Charleston and spend every single day just outside your office banging on the door? Let me in, Chris.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, guys. I'm having flashbacks right now. I feel like I'm at my kitchen table at midnight trying to figure out who the hell was the influential player for the NC State, Carolina game. But you know what? Jeff was honestly one of the influencers. Not that I needed a lot of prodding to take the job, but he really believes in this place, loves the city, and it's been everything that he talked about and more. So, it's been a great run so far since April.
I went to practice a couple weeks ago. First of all, hey, by the way, did you hear what Ante said, Chris? He said, if I ever invite somebody to dinner, I pay. Do you remember? You invited me to dinner a couple weeks ago, but no, you didn't pay.
Yeah, that's Ante's rule. That's not my rule. I've paid enough for you. Let's just take it as past payments that the Field of 68 owes me since I've been doing it scot-free for the last 2 years.
Hey, we've completely revived your career. We completely revived your career.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Hey, we know what Ante can do or has done, but you bring in a four-man. Going to be very interesting to see how those two play together. Lazar Djokovic from Xavier played a decent amount, was hurt last year. Explain to me how you plan on utilizing Lazar this year, especially with having another big.
Sure. I mean, I think, anytime you go into matchups, it really depends on, what the other team presents as well. But I do know that we can play with a high major front court. Lazar at the end of his freshman year was playing 30-plus minutes a game in a conference that, had the national champion and has been historically big-time basketball. So to do that as a freshman, and now he takes that freshman year under his belt and comes in and has a senior in Ante who is an extraordinary passer, a willing passer, a guy that almost passes too much, really knows how to operate both inside and outside. And Ante, I think that we have an ability to have to play with anyone in the country with our front court. Now, there are going to be some games where it might be too much of a task for, Lazar to guard a 6'2" four-man or a 6'3" four-man just because of the way teams don't necessarily play traditionally. So I like the flexibility that our entire roster has, but those two in particular can cause some matchup problems. And, the great thing about Lazar is he's extremely mobile. He can really move his feet laterally, which is a lot of times what prevents you from playing a big as a four simply because he can't match up on the perimeter. Now, he still is going to have some challenges, but that to me is such a strength of Lazar's.
You left Louisville 2.5 years ago, and since you left, all hell has broken loose in the world of college basketball. We got immediately eligible transfers. We got NIL. We got all of this crazy stuff happening. It's gotten to the point where Jay Wright left the business, Tony Bennett left the business, and here you are getting back in at a level where poaching by high major programs has become really, really prevalent. Like, why are you back in this? Why are you coaching it? And what was it about college basketball that made you have to get back in? Was it just you couldn't deal with me and Goodman anymore?
No, I mean, I would say this, that stuff aside, Rob, I miss the camaraderie. I miss the competition. I don't necessarily love sort of the tentacles of what, all the other things that you just mentioned have brought to the table. This is one man's opinion. I just think the NCAA should get rid of the transfer portal. I know that in today's day and age, people, start to say that, hey, that's a problem. You're killing, a student athlete's right to go wherever he wants. Normal students can do that. But I just think don't think there's so much of a negative when a kid transfers and has to sit out a year. I don't see the problem. You don't restrict his NIL. In fact, he gets another year to develop. And, this is coming from a guy who transferred years ago. And, I think Cooley said it the other day, just learning those lessons, having the ability to sort of deal with adversity, I don't think it's an issue. I don't think that's a problem. I think if anything, we're doing a service to student athletes, So, for me, and I hear the argument from time to time, well, hey, coaches can just pick up and go. Well, great. That's an extremely different set of circumstances. You put in a rule that says if a coach leaves, the players on the roster can find places to go. But other than that, you shut down this, waiver process that we all know behind the scenes in college basketball. Guys were making up reasons for guys to be eligible right away, whether it was a family sickness. It's like, hey, come on, man. Like, if you transfer, you have to sit out a year. All the other stuff, NIL, to me, is just part of the ever-changing landscape. But I think if you want to get fans to really love college basketball again, and not just the people that follow it like you guys, not just the people that are in it like us, but you want to get fans to identify with their programs again, you implement that rule and you never look back.
Hey, last one I have for you, Chris, is you brought in one of your transfers, Darren Boyd from Lipscomb, averaged almost 18 points a game. I know he was working his way back a couple weeks ago. What's the latest with him, and will we see him possibly on November 4th when you play in the Field of 68?
There's a really good Sure. There's a really good possibility, Jeff. I mean, I think that's yet to be seen. He's about 90 to 95% of the way through his rehab. He is an absolute potent scorer. The thing I love about Debo, as we call him, is that he can really defend, Had he not gotten hurt at Lipscomb in February last year, he would be a high major player. And so that's who we're getting as he returns. He's been really diligent in his rehab process. And so I'm excited to add him. He can really score the ball, but he can really defend as well.
Where's your tub of animal crackers? You didn't want to break them out for your return to the Field of 68?
Yeah, when you get back into it, you eat so poorly all the time, being on the road and stuff. Animal crackers have gone in the wastebasket. I'm not doing animal crackers, Rob.
Are you still getting any fishing in?
I haven't fished since I've taken the job. So that's which is wild because I'm around just as much water as I was before. But there'll be plenty of time, hopefully, to fish in the off season.
Well, Chris, listen, man, it's great to see you. Congrats on the new job. We appreciate you jumping in and playing in the Field of 68 opening day showcase up in Sioux Falls. I'm pretty excited to have you up there. Goodman's going to make you do something on the sideline during a TV timeout. All right, just understand that he's going to have something ridiculous planned for you, and you're probably going to end up doing it. And we're going to really appreciate all that you do there. So it's great to see you, man.
I appreciate those comments. The only thing I would change is I probably won't end up doing it. But other than that, Rob, thank you for having me.
Wait, hold on. Herb Sendek said he's in to do something. So if Herb can do it, you can do it.
Really? All right. Well,
Herb rapped for us yesterday. Herb rapped for us yesterday, man.
I may have to change my stance on that one.
Exactly. Otherwise, you'll be an old curmudgeon. Otherwise, okay.
I already am that.
Yeah, I was gonna say he is that. Listen, Chris, great to see you, man. Best of luck this season, and we'll see you up there in Sioux Falls, man.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me, guys.
Take care, man.
Thanks,
we'll see you. And now, looks like we have Billy Taylor from Elon jumping on here in a minute. I think he's coming in right now. And Coach Taylor, what's going on, man? It's great to see you. Welcome to CAA Media Day here on the Field of 68. I want to start with this. You got a set of twins on your roster, TK Simpkins and TJ Simpkins. One, how difficult is it for you to be able to keep TK and TJ separated in your head? And two, have you ever had a set of twins where one was a sophomore and one was a junior? That seems a little kind of anti to the process.
Well, thank you guys first off for having me, Rob and Jeff. Great to see you guys. Means we're kicking off the season, so it's an exciting time of year for us. And ironically, not too far back at the University of Iowa, we had a couple twins that you may remember, Keegan Murray and Chris Murray. And Chris redshirted his freshman year while Keegan played. Right. So we separated the twins. and allow them to each have their own unique experience. And it worked out well for those guys, and hopefully it'll work out well for our two.
Yeah, it worked out better than well, Billy. It worked out, phenomenally. Listen, you bring back almost 55% of your scoring, almost 2/3 of your rebounding, 3 starters, Nick Dorn, Sam Skerry, and TK Simpkins. It's a rarity. I mean, honestly, it's just a rarity in this day and age. I mean, I know if we had said that 5 years ago, it'd be like, all right, that's par for the course. But how good do you feel about being able to take the next step with retention like you had?
Yeah, Jeff, I think it's big for our program. We're trying to develop our program through the 4-year model, and then still obviously be able to sprinkle in the transfers as we need them on our roster. So last year with our team, 12 of our 16 guys were freshmen and sophomores. So we were obviously really young, and it made for a lot of growing pains and a lot of learning. But our young guys have grown up some. So, we're excited about having so much back on our roster, and, having, like, TK Simpkins, who had a great finish to CAA play. The last 9 games, he averaged, 18 points, 5.5 boards, and 4 assists. And, in addition to that, having Sam Skerry back as a senior, a 2-year starter for us that averaged almost 10 points a game and 4 rebounds. We're really excited that we have so much of our core coming back, and then we can mix in some new players that should be exciting and help us continue to grow our program.
I wanted to ask you about Nick Dorn, an all-rookie guy in the CAA last year, 6'7", shoots at 36% from 3. The saying is the best thing about freshmen is they become sophomores, right? What have you seen from him in terms of his development, and what is going to be the next step for him as a player this year?
Yeah, Rob, I think Nick has continued to grow, as a player, and he obviously got thrown right into the fire last year, and there weren't major expectations around Nick last year. So he was able to come in and really play and achieve at a high level. As you noted, he was a young man that was 4 times. He was CAA Rookie of the Week, tied for most in our league. Led us in 3-pointers made last year, was 60 of them made at 36%. So this young man's talented. He can score the basketball. He comes from great lineage. It's been pretty well documented, obviously, with his father and his brothers and kind of their athletic pursuits. So we think Nick is just going to continue to get better and better as a player, and he's got a great frame. He's coachable. He's hungry, and he wants to be the best that he can be.
All right, Billy. November 22nd. I know you have that date circled. I know you do, because you go to South Bend. You play at Notre Dame, your alma mater. You played there in the, I think it was like early 90s, right? I'm trying to remember how old you are now, but I think it was like early to mid 90s, somewhere.
Thanks for putting that out there. Appreciate that. Thanks. Yeah, no, that's great.
Hey, listen, you got a little gray going on here, so I think people know. I don't think I needed to say it. How cool is it going to be to go back, though? And I guess give me your fondest memory playing at Notre Dame.
Jeff, it's really an exciting opportunity to go back. I'm grateful to Micah and his staff for giving us the opportunity to come back and play there. I went one other time as a head coach. Coach Bray had our team at Lehigh. We went out there and played, and it just was really a great opportunity and experience. Anytime you can go back to your alma mater and you have opportunity to coach and kind of be back in that atmosphere is really it just means so much. And really, honestly, prior to that, it's a big trip for us, because November 20th we play in Northern Illinois, which is where my mom and dad went to school. So I get an opportunity on that trip to go to my parents' alma mater and then my alma mater. So just really, amazing opportunity for our team. And again, I had so many great memories while at Notre Dame. Again, it's always about the people that you're meeting, and again, the folks that you're surrounded with. But I had some great teammates, LaFonso Ellis and Monty Williams and Elmer Bennett and all those guys, and we had a lot of fun throughout our years together, and it was really a great experience.
I gotta ask you about the big fella, 7'4" Matthew Von Coleman coming in. I hope I got that last name correct. A transfer from Hawaii Pacific, averaged 7.7 rebounds, a couple blocks, but he's 7'4". And does he still have the mustache? Is he still rocking that mustache?
He is still rocking the mustache, yes. And guys, he's the tallest player that I've ever coached, that I've ever played with, anything that we've had that on the rosters. And I've been doing this, as Jeff mentioned kindly, for many years now. So to have a 7'4" guy is very
It's the
unique.
30s.
So we're really excited about Matt. He's kind of had a well-traveled past just due to some injuries. Starting his career at Utah, injured, St. Mary's with Randy Bennett in that program, injured, and then was healthy last year at Hawaii Pacific. So we're excited for him. We think he's got an opportunity to help us in terms of bringing us front court depth and rim protection and some finishing inside. So we're excited about kind of the new addition that he brings to our roster.
Well, listen, Billy, let me just apologize for Goodman. He is always uncouth and rude like that. It's just what I deal with every single day in my life. But we appreciate you being here. Best of luck this season, and hopefully you got to get a big win so we can get you on the field of 68 again in sometime in November.
Awesome. Yeah, we're looking forward to
Beat Notre Dame.
hopefully you guys again this season.
Beat Notre Dame, Billy. That's the easiest way to do it, right?
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Billy.
That was Billy Taylor from Elon. I think we're going to be joined next by Geno Ford from Stony Brook, one of your favorite head coaches in the business. He is on the way, coming in right now. Stony Brook's in an interesting situation, Jeff. They lost 4 starters. They only bring in 2 Division I transfers. They got a couple JUCO kids coming in. Geno's kind of betting on his player development and betting on some improvement from the guys that he has coming back.
Well, and he got the program kind of back on track last year. Remember, 2 years ago, they were ravaged by injuries, absolutely crushed. And most of it happened, I think, even in the preseason. And last year, bounced back, won 20 games. They got to the CAA title game in just their second season in the league. And now we have good old Geno Ford. Geno, what's up, my man? How are you?
How you doing, buddy? I'm doing great.
I'm good. How is that Reese's cup in the fridge looking?
It's still sitting there. Short, fat, bald. I had a lot of things working against me. I turned 50, so I was trying to attack the fat part. I can't do anything with the other.
So tell people that are listening that don't understand the context of that one Reese's cup sitting in the fridge, why it's still there.
Well, I don't know who sold me out, but I assume it was Ricard. So I have a real sweet tooth problem, which I know would really shock our fan base on my appearance. But most of the time, I'll choke down 2 Reese cups during a day, and 7, 8 Diet Dr. Peppers. Looking for an NIL deal with Diet Dr. Pepper. Personally, can't get it. And so I've had one lonely Reese cup that's been sitting in there for since the diet started, and it is still alive and well.
Well, 1, congratulations on being able to have that self-control. 2, I don't blame you on the Diet Dr. Pepper, man. DDPs are great. It's probably my favorite soda, and I got to, yeah, DDPs, man. I got to stay away from them. We're gonna talk basketball here because I'm not Goodman. I'm out in there trying to dig up any dirt on you. So I want to start with Joe Octave, a transfer from Holy Cross, a kid that averaged 14 points a game last season. What role do you see him playing, and how hard is it to kind of bring in a guy that's a 5th-year player but also happens to be a new guy to your program?
Well, in today's era, as you guys know, I'm sure every coach has addressed it, right? We have 9 new guys, and so we have to learn them. They got to learn us. And Joe right now has done a really nice job. We've played him on the ball. We've played him off the ball. The thing that's made it really easy transition for him, he spent 3 years at the Air Force Academy, and you can't survive those academies, the rigors of academics, the discipline. He's as high a character person as you're going to be around. He's responded well to everything we've needed him to do, but he needs to play well. We need him to score, and we need him to make plays for other guys. He's historically been a good rebounder, so he kind of is able to help you on both ends, and we're going to need him to do that.
How long would you last at one of the academies?
I don't know. 6 a.m. PT, they might bounce me. But getting yelled at, I could handle. I mean, playing for Larry Hunter and my dad in high school, I'm used to being screamed at, so that's not a problem. But I don't know. The early, that's a little early, man. They get up, it's still dark out. That's tough.
You'd be able to make it longer than Goodman. That's a guarantee. I promise you that. I've seen this guy in action. He is as soft as they come, Geno.
I had 3 desserts at lunch yesterday, Geno. I'm not kidding. 3 desserts.
That's why I love you. That's what you're supposed to be doing. You're getting in season, man.
Exactly.
Season mode.
That's right. I'm in preseason mode. Last year you won 20 games. 2 years ago, as I said in the intro before you joined us, it was kind of a mess. I mean, you guys were crushed by injuries. But last year you got it back, got 20 games, CAA title game. How much better do you feel about where the program is, number one, but then you have all this roster turnover. So it's like you get momentum these days, and then whether it's positive or negative, no matter who you are, Geno, I feel like momentum isn't what it used to be.
Yeah, you're 1,000,000% right. I say this all the time. So 2 years ago, we lost our entire backcourt in the preseason, and there was really no solution for that. And we just had a really, really hard year. And last year, we had a veteran team that had been together, that knew how to work, and we struggled at times. I mean, heck, we started 2-5. We lost at Campbell by 100 points with 3 weeks to go in the season. I mean, we got pounded at Monmouth the last week. But the difference was that Tyler Stevenson-Moore, Aaron Clark, Chris Mido, Dean Knoll, those seniors, when we lost, they totally internalized it and blamed themselves. And that's been a little bit of a lost thing in the transfer era, because it's just easier to leave and it's easier to blame the coach or blame whoever or whatever. And they just blamed themselves, and we tried to get better every day. And then, to have the ball twice to try to get 1 point to go to the NCAA tournament and come up short was gut-wrenching for everyone. But what a great run, and what a great way for those guys to go out. But to speak quickly to your point of momentum, the beauty of today's era is, like 2 years ago when we were awful, you used to be awful for 3 or 4 years. And now you can be awful and spin it right away. And we were able to do that. Now we're on the other side of that coin, where we had a year that, most teams in our league would have killed for. And certainly the tournament run was terrific. And now we have to replicate it with 9 new guys. And luckily we have some returners back. I think Andre Snody's going to have a huge year for us. Toby Anyako, Jared Fry. We have guys back, Sabri Phillip, that played and were key role guys and key contributors to our team winning a year ago. And they've got to take a bigger productivity, from points, rebounds, assists, those kind of things. But we feel confident. They did it at times last year when opportunities presented themselves. We were just very senior heavy, and most of the shots ended up, the seniors took most of them, but those guys are all gone. So there's plenty of points, rebounds, and assists that we need.
Yeah, Geno, I wanted to ask you about Andre. He's a guy that I think it's fair to say is a junkyard dog. I think I say that with the utmost respect. But with what you guys lost, like, you probably want him to do a little more than just average 5 points a game, right? How do you get more production out of him, and maybe what is the next step for him as a player? You said you think he's going to have a big year. What's that going to look like? How's that manifest?
Well, he's actually a unique player because he's able to impact the game in a lot of ways. He can score, but he rebounds. I think he has a chance to lead our league in rebounding if he really attacks it, and that's his goal. He's a very, very good defender. He is one of our best dribblers and one of our very best passers. So he's able to, be kind of one of those stat sheet stuffer guys. Towson had the Holden kid a couple years ago that was first team all-league, and I don't know what he averaged. He didn't shoot outside the charge circle, but he was able to just dominate games with his presence on both ends. And I'm hoping that Dre is able to find a nice groove for us with getting other guys shots. We have a lot of shooting. But when you have shooting, somebody's got to break the defense down and create those opportunities. And, we need him to kind of play, to steal the NBA stuff, right? That point forward position. He's got to play make for us. He'll score. He's got to finish in the paint better, which he's done a tremendous job of in the preseason. He's just always played facing the basket. So we really play him, on the perimeter the whole time. And then when the shot hits the rim, he's not afraid to stick his nose in there.
Mm-hmm. All right, Rob, last question I have. I'm going to send it to you first. Take a guess what Geno is bench pressing these days. I want you to guess, and then Geno's gonna tell us.
I'm going to say 185. 8 to 10 times.
It's pathetic. I'm catching abuse on here. I mean, I can rep 185. I mean, it's awful. Like, this is embarrassing. For the record, anyone that's watching, I did bench 315 in college. So just so it's out there, Bowles from OU will back me up. He saw that weight get tossed. I'm 50, man. I'm barely lifting my fat rear end out of bed in the morning.
My source said 135.
Oh, that's inaccurate.
Ooh.
Hey, no.
That's inaccurate.
That's inaccurate.
All right,
we can go right now. 225 can get tossed around if need be, but it isn't much. It's nothing to brag about. I'll tell you that.
Hey, Geno, I'll tell you this. Goodman can't even bench press a laptop, so don't feel bad about yourself. We saw him try to do a push-up the other day.
Right here, drop. Right here. Right here.
Listen, it looks like if those desserts are paying off, Goody. Those desserts are paying off.
Got him. Listen, Geno, it's great to see you, man. Appreciate you jumping on. And I always have the utmost respect for someone that will give Goodman just as much crap as he likes to give people. So tip of the cap to you, sir. It's always good to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Geno.
Best of luck this season. Coming up next, it looks like we have Bill Coen and Northeastern. And I'm going to set the over-under on the number of times that Goodman says mass hole during this interview with Coach Coen at 2.5. I've got a feeling that it's going to end up coming. So hopefully we'll have Bill Coen on here in just a second. Northeastern, I know it's a program you like, Goodman. It's a Boston guy. It's a Massachusetts guy. It's a Boston program. You are quite biased when it comes to those programs coming out of Massachusetts. Coach, good to see you, man. How you doing?
How's everybody doing? Good to see you.
Great,
Bill,
great.
I haven't told you this, but I moved. We sold our house in Boston. I don't know if you found out from my sister-in-law, who you live next to in Charlestown, but we sold our house and we're renting in Charleston and we're looking to buy. So gonna miss seeing you.
Bill. He's homeless.
Yeah. That's bad news, Jeff. That's bad news.
No, listen. Honestly, I mean this. One of my favorite things every year, pretty much every year, right, Bill? I would come early in the season and see you play every single year.
Yep.
And that streak may end this year. That. I saw you last year, and but you know what I think of you, and listen, he's the all-time winningest coach at Northeastern. He's a guy who, again, I watched build that Boston College program to where it was one of the best programs in the country. And we forget. It's been a long time. But again, hey, Bill, I'm going to miss you. Let's get to your team here a little bit. And
maybe you'll see you in Charleston, Jeff.
Yes, that's the goal. That's the goal, hopefully. Hopefully I can buy a place by the time you get down there so I don't have to live on the street.
There you go.
You returned 3 of your top 6 scorers from a team that struggled a little bit last year. Troutman's back. Obviously, he looks like he's going to be the centerpiece of this year's team. But Rashad King was good. Harold Woods is back as well. How much balance are we going to see on this year's team? And what are the expectations to try to get back to certainly what your expectations are?
Yeah, we're going to need major efforts from a lot of guys. As you know, the CAA is such a competitive league, and shout out to Coach Skerry and his team and his program for getting picked to be a preseason favorite, well deserved. But for us, I think you hit on it. Masai had a very good freshman year, an even better sophomore year, and we're hoping that the best is yet to come. He's an incredible young man. He's very, very talented. But what I think I'm most excited about is his work ethic right now. He's in the gym constantly. He's getting 2 and 3 workouts a day. he hit that peak in his career where the game is slowing down for him. He can handle the workload. He's excited about the future. And, when you're around young people like him, along with Rashad King and Harold Woods and so on, a couple of our returners, that they're at the point in their career where they're excited for the challenge, and we're looking forward to get the season started.
What's the next step for Masai? Where do you want to see him get better as a player? He averaged double figures last year, shot 36% from three. How does he grow? Where do you want to see him get better?
Yeah, I think we've talked about that with every one of our guys. But for Masai, I think his upside is he's got obviously a tremendous athletic ability, and he wants to develop into the best defensive player he can be. And I think with his his gifts, he can be tremendous on that end of the floor. Be a more consistent 3-point shooter, but really evolve his game in each and every aspect, and take on more of a leadership role. A guy who's be a little bit more vocal, and a guy that can lead you out of the storm.
Bill, you're probably your best trait is your ability to evaluate and develop players. I mean, it's what you've done your whole career. And it becomes more difficult these days, right? I mean, let's be honest. Like, you're dealing with 1 year, you're really dealing now with just looking at one season at a time, where you used to be able to, hey, I'm going to bring them in and a 4-year plan for a kid. How has this changed kind of how you work?
Yeah, well, I think you touched on, Jeff, what I think is on everybody's mind, that the landscape has changed with all the movement. And I think that there's a couple things. I think you got to dig a little deeper into the relationships, and you have to speed that process up, where you used to think you'd have a 4-year timeline to build that mutual respect and everything. So, but also maybe your package maybe has to get a little bit more simplified in terms of the on the court stuff, so that you can have a productive year, and lower your timeline there, and lower your horizon, and try to get to the good stuff quicker. But I think essentially coaching is still coaching. I mean, I think a lot is made of all the movement. It's still about getting guys to become the best versions of themselves. Try to strive for excellence in the classroom, strive for excellence in the community, strive for excellence on the court, and be an elite teammate. And the benefits of that is a lifelong a life filled with meaningful and full relationships.
Who's impressed you this offseason? You got 3 transfers coming in from the Division I level. You got a couple freshmen, and you have, I think it's 4 rotation guys coming back, but you have a bunch of program guys coming back. Who's taking the step maybe that we would not necessarily expect?
Yeah, I think preseason polls are really based upon who you have returning. I think that quite typically the championship is decided on newcomers and guys that kind of come out of the woodwork. And I like all our newcomers. We have 2 freshmen. They're getting their feet wet and doing a really good job. And Lucas Sorora and Ryan Williams working hard every day, getting better, showing great potential. But I think our impact's going to be in our transfers. And L.A. Pratt, who visited us out of high school and went to Elon and had 2 very good years under Coach Taylor there, but decided to come with us, and he's shown a lot of promise. In our preseason here, and I think he's primed for a really good year. And Yuri Fritz, who played at Canisius, and his brother actually visited us, ended up at Hofstra. Jaco Fritz, he's from the Netherlands, but he's a versatile forward player that's gonna provide us some inside strength and flexibility at that position. And also Sam Thompson, who, is a young man, is an incredible leader. Played 2 years at Brooks up here in Massachusetts, Jeff, and won a couple of titles up there. went on to Colgate and didn't lose very many games at Colgate. So he knows what winning's all about, and he's a great locker room presence. So I'm really excited about, the 5 guys that are coming into the program that'll add, context and depth to the guys that are returning.
You know my favorite addition over the offseason, right, Bill? Who's my favorite addition that you brought in the program?
Might be one of the greatest all-time players here at Northeastern University, and that's Matt Janning, who's come back to be with us. Matt was, one of my first, or if not my first recruits here at Northeastern. Went on to be, the 4th leading scorer in Northeastern history. He's being inducted into the Northeastern Hall of Fame, this fall. Just so proud of him. He made it all the way up to the NBA. Played 13 years professionally in just about every country on the planet, and just a great guy, and a guy that's already bonded with our current team and has made a tremendous impact. When he talks, the guys listen because he's walked the walk. He's accomplished it at college, and he's played at the highest level of professional basketball, and can't say enough good things about him. I thought we always had a strong staff, but bringing Matt back has added a new dynamic to the staff.
Well, listen, Bill, it's great to catch up with you. Best of luck this season. Coming up
Thanks,
next
Rob.
on CAA Media Day, we're going to hear from 4 of the guys on the preseason All-CAA first team: Gabe Dorsey, Landon Glasper, Kyrese Mullen, and Tyler Tejada.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys.
All right, now time to welcome in the rest of the CAA preseason first team, and we'll kind of do quick introductions and then hit them with some interesting, fun questions. All right, first we got Gabe Dorsey, William and Mary Sr., Landon Glasper, NCA&T Junior Guard, Kyrese Mullen, Hampton, Junior Big, and last but not least, Tyler Tejada from Towson, just a sophomore. All right, let's start with Gabe, since you're, I think, the elder statesman of the group, I think. William and Mary coming off a great season, average 14 a game, 4th nationally in threes made, and 6th nationally in threes per game at almost 3.5 a game. All right, so you bring in your brother Caleb, who transferred in from Penn State, right? Is he going to take any of the threes away from you?
No. We'll get our fair share of threes. I think our play style kind of promotes that, playing fast, shooting a lot of threes. So, there's plenty of threes to go around.
What's it like, though, having him on the team after 3 years at Penn State? I know you guys played together back in high school, prep school.
Yeah, it's great. It's a blessing. I mean, it brings our family to one place. They don't have to scatter and figure out which games they're going to across the country. And I mean, we're living together, so it's just like old times again. So, and obviously the chemistry we had just, being teammates in high school and, throughout growing up. So it's been great.
All right. So who's the bigger disaster when it comes to living together?
I would say me. He's a neat freak. So, he's going to vacuum. He'll clean everything once a week, probably twice a week. I'm more of a messy one. I'm not dirty, but I'll leave clothes, in different places and stuff like that. But overall, we keep it pretty neat, so it's not too bad.
All right. Landon, average almost 21 a game last year, got hurt towards the end of the season, and kind of came, I don't want to say out of nowhere, but came out of Coffeyville, which sometimes it takes some time to adjust to the Division I ranks. It did not take you much time last year. First of all, how you feeling health-wise? Is the knee completely healthy? And what do you do for an encore after last year?
I'm 100% back. And a thing I do now is just rehab a lot more than I did last year and try to stay in the weight room. I feel like that was a big part of what I hurt last year. Not being in the weight room as much as I was off season, just being in the weight room more when the season comes.
What was it like for the adjustment? Because again, people talk about it all the time. Coming from the JUCO ranks to Division I, it is different. What was the hardest part of the adjustment?
it was different. I feel like it was kind of easy for me though. But I think the biggest thing is just bigger guys, I guess. Bigger guys, faster pace. I think that was like, but it was easy to adjust just by playing with my older brother and just playing with older guys all my life. So it was pretty easy to adjust.
Kyrese went from your rebounding was about the same, but your scoring went way up last year. You led the CAA in double doubles. Biggest thing that I wondered was, were you coming back after the coaching change? And I know you went in the portal, you withdrew. What was the reason you decided to come back to Hampton?
My head coach, he's from where I'm originally from, Norfolk, Virginia. So me and him sat down, had a conversation. He coming from Georgetown, so that's more of a high major school anyway. So I just felt like if I listen and can buy in on what he got, we can actually win and accomplish something here. So that's the reason I stayed. I talked to my coach. I like what he was talking about, and we back here.
Yeah, he's a good dude. I've known him a long time, and he should do well there. What did he talk about? How your role will be different, if at all, or is it more of the same, just more of what you've done?
It's more of the same. He pushing me to get more rebounds, get more points. Because like he said, every year I should increase instead of go down or stay the same. So he just pushing me to just be the best player I can be.
What do you want to average? If I said to you, what are numbers that you're kind of hoping for this year? Have you put some sort of number attached to your personal stats, or no?
I really didn't have a number, but my numbers was 14 and like 8. So I want to average double-digit rebounds. I want to go like 16 and 10 just throughout the whole year, just to say same. But if that don't work out, as long as we win it, I don't care what I average.
Yeah, that's the key. I mean, that's the key, because really for all three of you guys last year, you didn't win at a high level. I know you're all coming back and hoping, hey, the personal numbers are great, but, you want those postseason accolades, right? The preseason honors are good, but you want the postseason ones, which are winning. Tyler, you were a freshman last year, 6'9", skilled, can shoot it, averaged about 10 points a game last season. What surprised you about last year?
Probably just like the physicality and stuff, and I wasn't like the tallest person really anymore. In high school, I was always the tallest person on the court, but just like size, physicality, speed, it just like took a little time to adjust to it.
So I asked Pat Skerry, who I've known forever, 25 years. I said, hey, what type of kid is he? Is he quiet, Tyler? He said, yeah, I always tell him he looks like his dog just died because he's never smiling.
Yeah, he said that a lot.
So he also said that you're one of the hardest workers he's ever coached, and he's been around a long, long time. What's the next step for you, other than obviously trying to put on some strength and being able to probably withstand some of the punishment around the basket?
Just getting more quicker, especially on the defensive side, being able to stay in front, guard the smaller guards that I'll probably get switched on against or probably be ended up guarding. And because more last year, I feel like I was more like catching and shooting, but like also like working on my in-between game, mid-range, post-ups, just like all around.
Hey, Gabe, when you look at the league this year, it looks so wide open because there's been so much turnover, right? I mean, you don't know what to think about, really about some of these teams. How much confidence does it give you that you can make a big jump as a team?
I've always had a lot of confidence, in the teams I've had here throughout the years. I think it's just kind of, focusing on ourselves, not necessarily the landscape or other teams. I feel like if we execute the way that, coach wants us to, if we, play the style that, he's bringing in, I feel like we have a great chance.
Landon, give me a guy on NCA&T that we don't know about yet, but we will.
Ryan Forrest.
Okay. Give me a little bit about him.
Just flashy guard, really explosive, long, and do it all. Look. Sure.
Kyrese, same question for you. Who, you've only got 2 guys back. So, for you, it's probably the summer was about learning all your teammates' names to start. Who are we going to know about soon that came in?
Majority of my transfers, for real, I got a transfer from Georgetown, Wayne Bristol, Xavier Elon from Canisius, and we also just got Noah Farrakhan from West Virginia. So we got a lot of good pieces that transferred in, and the rest of the transfers we have, we just all just putting it together right now. So we should see when the season goes.
So Tyler, while Kyrese has lost most of his team from last year, you return a lot of guys. I mean, I think that's a big advantage of Towson, and why you guys were picked so high again in the preseason poll this year. What's it like to already have? While you look around the country and you see everybody trying to figure out new rosters, what's it like to have that benefit where you guys kind of know most of your team coming back?
I think it gives us a pretty good advantage because we all been with each other for a year already. We know each other's games, what we can and can't do on the court. And I think it helps us more like bonding wise, like being able to connect more on the court as well, because then we spent the year already together. So we already know what to expect from each other.
All right. Well, listen, appreciate it. This is the all first team preseason CAA team. Gabe, Landon, Kyrese, Tyler, appreciate it, guys, and good luck this season.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And we are now joined by the man that Jeff Goodman opened this show by saying, I cannot wait to speak to Pat Skerry. Coach, you are picked to win the CAA this season. Do you like the pressure? Do you want to have the target, or do you kind of like being, the underrated guy where say, hey, look, they picked us 9th in this league. Let's go prove them wrong.
First of all, I want to thank you guys for having me on. And Jeff, I really like your glasses. I just had to start wearing these readers a couple months ago. It's been a real game changer. I think you guys are out in Vegas, so hopefully you've been behaving yourself. Hey, look at Rob. We got a lot of guys back. I like our group. These things don't mean a whole heck of a lot. But, yeah, we're embracing these, right? Predictions come out. You can either prove them right or you can prove them wrong. Our intention is to try to prove everyone right.
I mean, I just can't believe – I don't know how you did this. I mean, your players like you. Your players like you. They came back to Towson. I mean, this is absolutely remarkable to me.
Well, yeah, look at Jeff. You've known me a long time. I'm a good recruiter, so we've been able to sandbag these guys. Honestly, I appreciate you asking that. We've been fortunate to have guys back. It just says a lot about the type of kids we have. I have an amazing staff, and they really gravitate to our guys. And our kids come from really good households and people that are around them. And Jeff, I'll be honest, that's a philosophical kind of pointed emphasis we've ever since COVID. I feel like I'm coaching Ted Lasso over here. Now, I'm certainly not Ted Lasso, but we've got really, really
not that
good
funny.
guys.
You're definitely
I'm not that funny, and my language is a little worse than his.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey, what's behind you on the board, Jeff? What's behind you on the board there? You wouldn't know. You wouldn't know shit.
I'm diagramming some plays, Skerry. In between, I'm diagramming some plays for you.
All right, fair enough.
All right, Pat, here's my question for you. Okay. So last season, you guys finished 7th in the CAA in adjusted offensive efficiency, according to KenPom, and you finished 228th nationally in adjusted offensive efficiency, according to KenPom, despite the fact that you guys got 40% of your own offensive rebounds, 40% of your misses. That means that you guys had more shot attempts than almost anybody else in college basketball, and you still couldn't find a way to score. How are you going to fix that, Coach? That, to me, that's on you. That's coaching right there.
100%, and it's really hard to cut down the nets unless you're in the top 3 or 4 on both sides of the ball, which the 3 prior years before that, our offensive numbers were really good. Yeah, I think we've tweaked some things. We had to replace 75% of our scoring, and we struggled for a while last year. This group is a lot more positionless. It'll start with being able to take care of the basketball, but we've had guys make big jumps in their game, and yeah, that's been a big point of emphasis, Rob, since the summer of we've got to run better offense, which for us will mean converting around the rim, making some more foul shots, and shooting and making more threes.
All right, Pat, here's my my follow-up to that. How many of those stats do you think Goodman actually understood?
About 0.7% probably.
You know what stat I do know? Here's a stat I do know. Ryan Skerry is now a walk-on on the team. And how many times, what's the over-under that Ryan Skerry's mom tries to call the coach to get on him, to get him in the game? I mean, we got to get Ryan Skerry in the game here.
My son asked me yesterday, he goes, you think someone's going to ask you? I said, that's a good question. It's been, he tore his shoulder last year, so he's a walk-on with us. He tore his shoulder. He actually tore it again a couple months ago. He's trying to practice through it. So he's a little bit tougher than I thought he was, which has been encouraging. But, yeah, that's not saying much, right? That it's been great to have him around. I feel like this is the first time I have an advantage over my wife, that I see him every day. So that piece has been, a little bit of a moral victory right there. I've followed you, Jeff, with your daughter a lot, admirably, and it's kind of cool just to get you missed some stuff by doing this over the years that you have a lot of regret about, and you'll never get back. So I'm enjoying this piece. He's enjoying it. I hope I can talk him out of wanting to coach, but we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, I lost that battle with my daughter. I lost that battle, but go ahead, Rob.
Well, I wanted to ask you about Tyler Tejada. He was picked as a preseason first-team All-CAA player. We just heard from him about 10 minutes ago. Sophomore, 6'8". The saying is, and Goodman's heard me say this about 35 times over the course of the last 2 weeks, but the best thing about freshmen is they become sophomores. Where are we going to see a leap from him? Where is that improvement going to come from? And what kind of player can you expect him to be heading into his sophomore year? He's got expectations on him.
Yeah, he's gifted enough to eventually play at the highest of levels, and that's his goal. The first thing, and I told this to Jeff off the air, he has an incredible work ethic, as good as I've been around in 32 years of doing this. He's got a great mom and dad, and they let you coach him. I think just, we're going to put the ball in his hands a lot more. He can do a lot of different things at 6'8", 6'9". I'm really proud, Rob. When he got here last year, he was about at 21% body fat, which is probably like Goodman and I level. And then he got that thing down right now to about 9%, maybe a little less. So he's really, he wants to be good. And I don't take for granted, like a guy with that kind of rep and talent, you can coach him every day. Like you come into our practice, nobody coaches around him. He takes it. And that's what I think is going to allow him a chance to become special.
Hey, Pat, what's going to be you return a ton. So what is going to be the biggest difference from last year's team to this year's team? I know Rob went through the offensive numbers that I had no idea what they meant earlier, but what's going to be the biggest difference?
Yeah, I mean, it is good. It's going to be on the offensive side of the basketball. We were painful to watch last year at times, and then I think the big piece is who's going to close the games out for us. We're going to play a lot of guys. We've got a lot of guys back. It's been an incredible group so far, just as far as their camaraderie and spirit and liking each other. But, Jeff, the first day of practice, I asked these guys privately what are your goals for minutes? And then we put it on the board. We had, I think it was 378 minutes. So we explained to them, hey, the game hasn't changed. The rules haven't changed. So not everyone's going to get what they want, right? And that's the hard thing, I think, a lot about basketball. All summer they lift, they dribble, and they shoot. And then you get into a team and you got some guy telling you, hey, don't do that. Don't ever do that for some guys. And that's hard to hear. So just, we have to, like any team, we've got to continue to put roles together, define those things. And then we're going to take some battles. We're going to take some body punches. We already scrimmaged Rutgers, and those two kids every bit as advertised. And we're going up to St. John's. I saw some of them last night. They look like the Celtics. So we're going to play a lot of teams like that early. But as you know, when you're down, when we open up the season, we got to go to Wilmington and Charleston, the hardest places to play in the league.
January 4th, baby. Hey,
yeah.
January 4th, you come down to Charleston, and I just want to know, like when you go down, and you've been in Charleston, you coached there years ago, will you take your team? I think you should take your team like to Halls, or there's a new place called Marble and Rye, big time place, steak, new spot. Will you treat them to a big time dinner, or are you going to bring them to Chick-fil-A?
I take them every year to my place in Charleston, Peace Pie, that I told you about. They got the ice cream sandwiches, right? We stay at the courtyard, and Rob, if you go down there, Peace Pie is off the charts. I don't have an NIL deal with them. I would gladly take one, but Peace Pie is off the charts.
I'll tell you this.
Chris Mack doesn't have one either. Chris Mack does not have one either. And that's why Chris Mack's physique looks like his does, and your physique looks like yours.
I'm not going to comment on Coach Mack's physique, and I'm certainly not going to comment on mine.
Well, listen, Pat, it's great to see you, man. We appreciate you being here. CAA Media Day on the field of 68. This went about as off the rails as I fully expected it to go. So we appreciate you being here, man. Best of luck this season. Yeah, expectations to live up to. We'll be hoping that you pull it off. Coming up next on CAA Media Day, we have Takayo Siddle from UNC Wilmington, who is going to be joining us here in just a minute. UNC Wilmington, fifth season. Takayo, fifth season at UNCW. Like that, when I read that, when I looked that up, that threw me off because it feels like yesterday that you got that job.
You count five. I only count four. I don't count the COVID year. But yeah, it seems like, man, it just, you blinked and I'm in year 5 now, and I'm blessed to be in this position for 5 years for sure.
So you lost a bunch. I mean, you lost a good amount here from last year's team. Obviously, Trezarian being the biggest one production wise, but again, KJ was great. You had to go to the portal, and you did a lot, like D1 guys, JUCO guys, little bit of everything here. Kind of run down for us. And the good thing is you went to Bahamas in July. So you took a trip, got a chance to know your team a little bit better. So I think you can answer this question better than most who have brought in as many guys as you have. Who are some of the guys that are going to be impact that are the newcomers, whether it's Bo Montgomery coming from Holy Cross or the Jameson kid from Milwaukee? Who's going to make a big impact?
Well, you're going to call me crazy, but I think all of them are going to impact our team in a major way and be a huge part of our success. That was the mindset when we were recruiting those guys. And, I always tell people when we talk about the new guys coming in, I don't want to forget about our returners because they're the foundation. They're the core guys on our roster that's been in the program for multiple years. They understand our culture. But the new guys certainly are very talented, and they will impact our winning, our success in a major way.
How cool was it for you to see Kevin Keats make the run that he made this past season? There was a little bit of heat on him heading into the ACC tournament, wins 5 games in 5 days, and turns around and goes and wins 4 more and beats Duke to get to a Final Four. Like that, 1, I know you got to be happy for him, but 2, that's just a wild ride to sit back and watch.
Yeah, somebody that I've looked up to since I was 18, and he's been a huge mentor for me. And I know when his back is against the wall, he always delivers. And Jeff knows Coach very well. But I was not surprised that he was able to bounce back and have such a good year. Was very happy for him and his family, and for him to make a Final Four at NC State for the first time in 37 years is unbelievable. So, it was nothing but joy and happiness when I was watching those guys on that run, and he deserves it more than anybody.
All right, so my big question for you, he bought a piano bar in Wilmington, right? You know this. Are you a part owner in this, or did he leave you out of the equation and not give you a piece of the new piano bar?
I'm not a part owner in it, but I feel like it because he's always down here every weekend, and he's trying to get me to come over. But no, it's just a special place. Jeff, you spend a lot of time in Charleston. It's got that type of feel to it. It's a special place, and if you know him, he always he loves entertaining, and having other people around him have fun. So it's a very special place.
Hey, I'm getting to a game at Wilmington. I will say that I am getting to a game at Wilmington because last couple winters I've only been in Charleston for like 6 weeks. Is a little bit tougher, but I got more time. I'm gonna get over there. I don't know how far a drive is it
from Charleston. It's about 3.5. 3.5. It's a special place. It's different from Charleston. Our beaches are probably a little bit better, but their downtown's better. But our downtown's growing, but it's a special place.
Yeah, you hear what he just said there. Wilmington, our beach is a little nicer. Our restaurants are a little nicer. The vibe's a little nicer. The basketball program, everything. It's all just a little nicer in Wilmington. We got the best piano bars up here. Coach, I want to ask you this name. Do you remember Dominic Bridgewater? Does that name ring a bell?
No. Help me figure out who that is.
He played for the Bahama All-Stars. You played against him in Baja Mar in July, and he went for what did he put up against you?
It was it 50 plus?
Yeah,
something like that. He was unreal.
53 points.
Seriously, you let a kid from the Bahamas go for 50?
He was a professional player. Like, I didn't realize until he got going, and my staff was like, the dude has 45 points, and we had some time left. The dude made every shot that he threw up. I mean, tough shots. It was impressive.
Hey, what did you learn about your team? What did you learn about your team in the Bahamas? That to me, again, go ahead.
I learned that we were extremely talented, Jeff. I thought that when we recruited those guys, and in the summertime, what we really tried to focus on was building team chemistry and trying to get them to understand how we compete here and how hard we work. We did some things, some schematical things, and tried to get them to understand how we're trying to play, but we didn't necessarily focus on that as much. But when we got to the Bahamas, we could tell we were very talented. We could tell we had a lot of work to do for sure, but we could tell we were very talented, and we could tell how fast our group gelled together. So it was a trip that we really benefited from.
Greedy Williams, JUCO transfer, point guard. Are you worried about having a point guard named Greedy? Like, it feels like that's kind of, not really in line with what you want a point guard to be, right?
That's funny that you say that because he's probably our most unselfish guy. He's an elite passer, has great feel for the game. So, but yeah, that's a great question.
Just kind of break down what he is and how he can impact for you guys.
Yeah, when you look at him, his size for position, if you look at his pedigree, his dad played at Alabama, was a really good basketball player back in the day. And, he played at Chipola under a really good coach, a coach that had success at the collegiate level, at the highest level. He's 6'5", very skilled to pass, great feel for the game, somebody that we can play at multiple positions, can post it, can shoot the mid-range, is a capable three-point shooter. He'll have a major impact on our roster.
When you look at all the turnover in the league this year, do you feel a little bit better? Because ordinarily you'd look at all the guys you're bringing in, and it would be a daunting task. Now, Towson does, we just talked to Pat Skerry, they return the core of their team, and that's why they're picked first in the preseason poll. But does it make it a little bit easier because you look around the league and around the country and everybody's dealing with the same thing?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it makes it easier, but it makes me sleep a little bit more at night. It's so tough. People ask me how the league is going to be, and I'm like, I really don't know. I know Towson will be good. I feel like we're going to be really good. Hofstra will be good. And some other teams, Charleston, will be good. But outside of that, I really don't know. And all you can really do, Jeff, and you know this, is just focus on what you're doing and try not to pay too much attention to everybody around you and just try to have good days. And that's what we've been trying to do.
Well, Coach, listen, we appreciate you being here. Best of luck next season. It's always great to see you. More from CAA Media Day. Coming up next, we will have Drexel head coach Zach Spiker jumping on with us here in a minute. Always good to catch up with Coach Siddle. Always good to let him try to convince you to go down to Wilmington at some point in your life, Jeff. You got to make some kind of visit there. All right. We now have Zach Spiker joining us. And Coach, coming off of a 20-win season, finished second in the CAA last year. Obviously, you had some of the transfer departures, and we can get to that. But I want to start with, Garfield Turner gets injured. Looks like he's going to miss the season. Like, one, I feel for him. That's always hard to hear a kid going through that. But how does that kind of impact what you guys are going to do and how your front court is going to look?
Yeah, Rob, Jeff, good to see you guys. That was a really tough pill for us to take as a program. I know that you guys see it from a standpoint of numbers. Like, hey, only 5-4. We had a really, really good team last year. He came off the bench, frankly, could have started some of the time, and frankly finished a couple games where he was the best guy for our unit to be on the floor at that position. William and Mary, Stony Brook played a huge amount. So it's a significant loss. Beyond the numbers because of what his leadership value has been throughout the summer and the fall. So we feel for him. There's always a silver lining, and you got to have that next play mindset. So there'll be some opportunities for some younger guys to get more opportunity this year than maybe initially projected. But also, you look at Garfield Turner now as a chance to get his master's at Drexel University. And I think that's one of the things that silver lining, and maybe he'll be in a different spot in a different place as a player with a full year of rehab too.
All right, I'm going to read you some numbers, Zach, that, man, you read them and it'll hit you. You lost 74%
are you sure
of your
he
score.
does? It looks like Kelsey left his glasses in Charleston when he moved and you stole them.
I know. Listen, wait, hold on. So the old glasses I had, Zach, I was told by my daughter that I looked old. So then I go out and I get these new glasses, and my wife signed off on them. I'm not dumb here. Like, when you go, you got to have either your wife or your daughter or both, preferably, there to sign off. So my wife signed off on these, and now I'm getting flack from a lot of people on them. So I don't know what to do. I don't know and glasses are expensive. You can't just keep going and buying new pairs of glasses. So.
Yeah,
Anyway.
Warby Parker.
All right, let me get
Warby
back to my
Parker's a
numbers.
good solution. Rob, I threw him off his game a little bit there, though, didn't I? He's a little rattled right now.
Yeah, now
Well, he didn't want to
just
hear
wait.
the numbers.
Just wait until we tell him that his glasses are crooked. Wait until we tell him that, and he doesn't realize it. Now he's going to say, "I've been on the show for 3 hours with crooked glasses." See? Told you.
I have him. I'm just not wearing
All
them.
right.
I want to not expose myself.
I can't read anything without them. You lost 74% of your scoring, 77% of your rebounding, 80% of your assists. 7 new guys, again, as we talked about, like all 5 starters. I mean, this is like, if I had said this a few years ago, it's unheard of. Now it's not quite as rare, but still for you, this is not easy. And then you lose again, as Rob mentioned before, Garfield for this season. How do you do this? How do you do this mentally, emotionally?
I think you look at it a couple ways. First off, 74%, 77%, 80%. Other than that, we got everything back, right? But also, that means we do have some things returning. Listen, there's no secret or surprise that we lost a lot of guys in a lot of different ways. But also, I want to embrace and celebrate the group of underclassmen that chose to come back. Their roles are going to be expanded. We're talking about Yame Butler, who is as good a one-on-one player our league has and had big segments of different seasons last year and the year before. We'd like to see him do that on a higher, more consistent level. Kobe McGee has been a huge consistent piece for our program the last 2 seasons. And Shane Blakeney and Cole Hargrove are now going to have opportunities to step into that opportunity that's been vacated by Garfield and other guys that have graduated and moved on.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Yame because he's a guy that's had some big games and some big performances for you. How do you get that consistency? Like, what is it? Is it just maybe he's in a bigger role and plays more minutes and you can get it more? Like, is it something where you worked this offseason on developing a skill? How do you get that out of him?
I think the 2 words that come to mind, whether it's not necessarily for Yame, but for our team, is maturity and discipline. We got to be mature enough to know, hey, when's the right time to pick a spot? And we need to go get a bucket. Other time, we want to run some offense and get the defense moving and then attack. And then defensively, we got to be disciplined to play what has been successful for us. And Rob, I know you're a big numbers guy. If you look at our defensive numbers the last 4 or 5 years, they've improved every single year. With the departures that we've had, we need to retrain a new group but stick to our philosophy and do those things. So, Jeff, to answer your question, like, how do we do it? Well, you got to walk before you run, right? And you got to have a good rhythm of running before you take off and sprint. So we're going to be to a point where we're sprinting, but we're not going to do it right away. We need to make sure everybody understands what's worked for us here at Drexel, right? And then we as a staff, and I'm thankful to have such a good staff, what works for our players that we need to do differently for this team. So we're in that point where we're trying to intertwine the talent that we have that's returning, the talent that we've acquired, and then also make sure we have a couple mainstays, especially on the defensive side of the ball, that kept us successful. It's a lot of work.
How important?
We kind of love it right
how
now.
How important is it going to be, Zach? Cole Hargrove. He's come off the bench the last couple of years. Now he's going to be forced to take on a much bigger role up front on that front line. How has he looked so far in the preseason?
You know, he's an interesting one. I bet he's one of our better three-point shooters in our fall practices and scrimmages that we stat out. We're talking about a 6'8" guy who probably has added, in his third year, I bet he's added 12 pounds of muscle every year. We're talking 248 pounds right now, 6'8", pick and pop. He was going to play a lot anyway this year. Now it might be more at the 5 than the 4. But that is something I think our team has this year. You've got Cole Hargrove, Victor Panoff, junior college transfer, William Garcia Addison transfer from Pacific, Ralph Akuda, Clemson want to win, a handful of guys that can play the 4 and the 5. So we are losing some things, but I also think we're gaining some versatility, some athleticism. And frankly, our 4s and 5s haven't been great three-point shooters the last year or so. Now we've got a couple guys that I think would cause coaching staffs to pause before they're going to guard us just one way the entire game.
I wanted to just kind of hit you a little bit on the defensive side. Just, you know, I've always, and throughout these media days, we've kind of had this conversation with a bunch of different coaches, but like, to me, the hardest part is when you have this much turnover, you have to teach the drills as opposed to just doing the drills. You have to teach your principles instead of just going out there and repping them out, right? Like if you're throwing up 5 guys in a drill and say like, hey, we're going to do shell, you're closing out short, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing this. Like you got to show each one of those guys what it is instead of sending your seniors out there, letting them do it and have the freshmen learn by observing. Like that, to me, that's the most underrated part of like rebuilding these rosters is you have to rebuild your practices. Like you start from the bottom, you start from scratch.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, Rob, I think if you add 1 or 2 players to a practice at the college level, it can get a little chaotic, right? We're adding 7 new bodies. So I think the word I just wrote down, taking notes while we're talking there, is patience, right? And I don't have a ton of it when we get on the floor and go, but you really got to have that patience to explain why we're doing things, right? Because you used to say, hey, last year I could say we had no one in the transfer portal. Hey, let's just do what we did. Let's do what we do a little bit better. If I say let's do what we do, you got 7 different ways of experiences last season that they're coming. And some of the guys have been really well coached. Some of the guys have had different experiences. So we do have to walk through and talk through a drill. A lot of times right now, this isn't a news flash to me or anyone else that's been in coaching, is the first day you do a drill, you add something, it looks like a disaster. And then the second day is pretty good. And then you get going with it. So, yeah, we have had to slow down a little bit. But I do think it helps you prioritize as a staff. What are the main things going to be and how are we going to emphasize them? So talk to some different coaches at different levels about how they deal with coaching a player for a couple years and what they emphasize. And I think that we're adapting. This is a new landscape, right? We're adapting, we're evolving, we're embracing it, right? And then we're also embracing our roster, which is play with more pace, play with more space, and give some guys freedom to make some things happen. Rob, you covered us back in our Army days. I think we'll look a little bit more like those teams from a tempo standpoint. If you're a Ken Palm guy, I think 1 out of those 7 years, we were not in the top 100. We were top 25 last 2, faster than VCU at that point in time. The last 5 years, we've been 300. We've been pretty slow.
So what you're saying is the big fella slowed you down. Now that you got a whole bunch of guards out there, we're getting up and down the floor. We're gonna chuck out some threes. We're gonna get a little pressure out there. It's gonna be fun, man. I'm in.
Long shots, long rebounds. Go get them, baby.
Well, listen, Zach, it's great to see you, man. Best of luck this season. I know it's going to be a work in progress, especially early on, but we'll be rooting for you. When you land a big win, we're going to get you here on the field of 68. We have more coming up from CAA Media Day. We have Ivan Thomas at Hampton will be joining us next. The new addition, one of the new head coaches in the CAA this season, and he should be here in just a minute.
You know what I realized, Rob? You know what I realized? If I take my glasses off, you look a lot better. I can't really see you. You look a lot better. So I might stick with this the rest of the show. I'm not sure.
You really read it. I will say this: when you take your glasses off, you probably look 15 years older and very sleepy. We got to get you your thing of coffee. Yeah, leave them on. Leave your crooked glasses on. Ivan Thomas from Providence, from Georgetown via Providence. A Cooley disciple, I guess, is the fair way to say it.
Yes, absolutely. Of course. Ivan's done a great job at Providence. I mean, I've known Ivan for a while, and it's funny because over the last few years, you don't often get this, a head coach calling me over and over and over about an assistant coach pushing somebody. Ed Cooley wore me out. I'm not kidding. Wore me out saying, Ivan Thomas is ready for a head job. Again, probably each year, twice a year, saying like, this guy's ready to lead his own program. What he's done to help me build this thing has been incredible at Providence. And obviously they're trying to get it going at Georgetown.
Mm-hmm. And he should have there's a decent team there at Hampton. It's an interesting one that's got some talent. Kyrese Mullen was a preseason all CAA first team member. We talked to him here just a little bit, about 15 minutes ago. But they also have Noah Farrakhan coming in, who was a guy that was at West Virginia for a while. He was at Eastern Michigan with Amani Bates, and Wayne Bristol, who I think is a guy that's going to be really interesting. He spent the last 2 seasons at Georgetown with Ivan and started his career at Howard, where he was a double-figure scorer. There's talent on the roster. And that's really, at this level, that's all you can really ask for. Put talent on the roster if you're a first-year coach, and then just kind of figure it out as you get there.
Well, it's interesting. We've had coaches tell us in the past that, in a way, they would rather, when they take over a program, start from scratch than inherit, 12 guys and not be able to bring in their own players. Well, that's the beauty of what Ivan Thomas had in this day and age, especially where there's movement already. So, you're talking about a guy that, returned 2 of 14 players. That's it. Now he returned his best player in Kyrese Mullen, thankfully, who led the league in double doubles. Big, strong, just a dude that you can build around. And I think that's going to be huge for Ivan going forward here.
Yeah, adding Yeah, we're going to bring in Ivan here in just a second. He's going to tell us all about Kyrese Mullen, all about the transfer class that he was able to put together. By my count, it was 10 transfers that he brought in, 9 from the Division I ranks and a JUCO transfer. Ivan, first and foremost, man, congratulations on the new job. I want to start with this. Kyrese Mullen, 15-8 last year, puts his name in the portal. You get the job. He comes back. Were you doing jumping jacks? Were you celebrating? Were you popping champagne? What was your reaction when you got him back from the portal?
My reaction, I was excited, of course, to have a young man that wanted to stay. But me and him have some ties. We're both from Norfolk, Virginia. We got some family ties there. And in terms of Boo Williams, he played for Boo Williams. I coached for Boo Williams for many years. And again, I'm a Norfolk prodigy. He's from Norfolk. He's a tough, physical guy. And local 757 guy. So, I was extremely ecstatic that he decided to stay, and but we had a lot of work to do with him staying as well. He was used to a different culture. So I tell him all the time, I tip my hat to him. I know it isn't easy adjusting to 2 years of a culture and then having to adjust to a guy who's, just taking over and establishing a new culture. So,
Ivan, what does it mean to get your first job home? I mean, not a lot of people get it like literally home, right? I mean, went to high school there, like you said, Coach Boo Williams. You're a Norfolk guy, and to take over this program. And again, I don't think people realize what Hampton can be and what it has been at times.
Absolutely. I'm extremely excited and grateful, appreciative. Sometimes you when you're a coach and you go on this journey, you don't know where it's going to end up. And so, we talk about the process all the time, and we use terminology like trust the process. Like literally that's what it was for my life. It's just, trusting in God's plan. And I could have never thought that it would turn me back here. But I did trust the plan in terms of when Ed Cooley walked in my gym and said, hey, when I was at Kickertan, which is less than a mile from Hampton University, and he said, you belong in college coaching. I want to hire you. And he did, and I went, started as a video coordinator, then got on the road and was his assistant for 9 years, and ended up coming right back to the area where he first saw something in me to be able to coach at Hampton University. So, it's a dream come true. I get to do it around my aging parents who's always believed in me. Get to do it around my kids who now all are grown and off in college. I got a daughter at Georgetown, daughter at Pepperdine. Son is off and working. So it was just, it's like a story that ended well, but now I got to rewrite it so that it ends the way I want it to end.
I wanted to ask you, Ivan, about Wayne Bristol. He is a guy that his first year at Howard, he averaged double figures. You guys had him at Georgetown. He was a rotation guy for you for the last couple of years, transferred with you to Hampton. But my question is, I got a bunch of friends that went to Howard, and they don't really like Hampton. Like, is he allowed to go from Howard to Hampton? Is that rivalry? Like, is he crossing enemy lines going there?
Well, that rivalry is real. The initials of basically who's the real HU. That rivalry is really real. So I'm sure that will be a heated battle between Hampton and Howard when we play them. Actually, we play them twice. So I've seen it firsthand with the football game. It's just some tremendous atmosphere among HBCU classic rivals that we look forward to playing in. So I'm open to establish that the home by the sea is for sure the real HU.
Hey, Ivan, we're gonna play a little trivia with Doster here. We're gonna give him one question: who is the greatest player to come out of the Hampton men's basketball program? Rob.
Oh, I don't know. Is it Ivan Thomas?
I think he's the greatest. I don't know if he's the greatest, but he's the one I know. He's the one I know that was – all right, I'll give you a hint. He played with the Bad Boys back in the day, and he's not the greatest, is he? You're shaking your head. He's not the greatest.
No, he's the toughest.
He's the toughest. That's for damn sure.
And I think he might go down as, Some of his teammates say there was other guys that could get it beyond, but he was the toughest. I would say he's the greatest out of Hampton.
Rob, you said it.
It's Rick Mahorn.
Rick Mahorn. For
Product
sure.
of Hartford, Connecticut, baby. CT.
Hey, how's Noah Farrakhan looking so far in the preseason, and how are you going to use him?
Well, Noah has unbelievable talent, unbelievable speed. I think him playing the point guard position is something new in his development that he's going to have to do in order for his current basketball season with us, and then for at the next level, which he wants to try to get to. He has to learn that position. So I think it's been new for him and playing the point. But the young man has unbelievable speed, unbelievable talent, and we're just trying to mesh it together. With 14 new players, it's been, is what every coach goes through this year who turns over their roster, just blending 14 new players together and trying to figure out how you're going to play.
Well, Ivan, congratulations on getting the new job. Congratulations on getting it back home. It seems like you're really fired up to be there. And we will be pulling for you as the real HU. We are officially Hampton fans here on the
I
field.
appreciate it.
Best of luck this season, man. Appreciate you being here. Coming up next on CAA Media Day here on the Field of 68, Brian Earl, William & Mary head coach. Goodman, this is the second Earl that we've had on a media day here on the Field of 68. His brother Dan was on.
I got a good one.
But before you do that, hey, look, Brian, I'm going to be honest with you, man. I live in Mount Laurel. We're a Lenape family. I don't know if are we allowed to be on this stream together? Like that's Goodman. That's a little bit of a rivalry there.
We always Lenape. You can join in if you want to. I'm a Shawnee guy, and we didn't have much trouble with Lenape people back in the day. I'm always the second Earl too. You know what I mean? I'm never the first one on. So, but I appreciate being here. Thanks, guys.
All right. Can I start with a funny one? All right. My first one is, all right, you have to pick out of the brother tandems right now, coaching tandems in college basketball. I believe there are 5. Annie and Bobby Hurley, Bryce and Scott Drew, Joe and James Jones, Archie and John Miller, and you and your brother. Who wins in a game of 2-on-2? 2-on-2, who wins of all those guys? Who's the best tandem?
Right now in basketball?
Right now. Today. I mean, luckily, Danny Hurley's washed, so you're good there. I've seen him in practice. Washed.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm close with the Jones brothers, and I love them, and Boston University and Yale, but not them. The Drews. Bryce was a year older than me, very good player. To be honest with you, I don't know who's in shape. I know my brother's not helping much. He's a post up threat. He's a post up threat. So I can still shoot it. So the Hurleys are obviously in our world. We were New Jersey guys, and they're North Jersey guys. We're sort of South Jersey.
I'm giving it to you and your brother. I'm not even going to let you.
Okay.
I'm giving it.
Whoa. It's not South Jersey. This is Central Jersey. This is not South Jersey. Central Jersey. Okay.
All right. Things have changed. But yeah, I'll take us. I mean, we have girth with my brother in there.
All right. This is where I'm going to go now because I got to get this back on the. My job is to get shows back on the rails whenever Goodman decides to get them off the rails. Goodman, do you know how many guys have won the Ivy League Player of the Year and Ivy League Coach of the Year in their basketball careers?
I'm going to guess one.
I know of at least one. There might be more, but I'm going to say there is at least one, and you are talking to him. That's a pretty cool kind of bow tie to put on a career, right?
Yeah, it's interesting you want the bow tie on an Ivy League career, but not everyone wears them in the Ivy League. But my experience has been in the Ivy League to this point. So it was two very great experiences being a college basketball player. I played for a Hall of Fame coach at at Princeton for a year, and Pete Carrill, and then was eventually player of the year in that conference as a senior. And then coming back around and doing the things at Cornell that we were able to do. It was, a coach of the year is very much a team thing. And so that was, I think we all took pride in us winning that award together. But so it's been an Ivy League journey for me, which most people never would have guessed when I was a young man that I would spend that much time in the Ivy League. But it's flattering to get both those awards.
Because you're not that smart? Is that why
Right.
they wouldn't have picked you? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm
glad you picked up on that.
I want
Goodman. I'm glad you
clarity.
picked up
I
on
want
that.
clarity, Brian.
Yeah. You've been talking to my brother.
Hey, why William and Mary? I think that's a question that I think a lot of people probably had for you when you left Cornell. Why William and Mary?
Well, it is very familiar. Like I said, I have a background in the Ivy League. I sort of understand at this point, having been a player in that league and coaching guys in that league, that William and Mary has always been an institution that is basically Ivy League. You recruit the same type of character kids. You recruit kids who are self-motivated on the court, in the classroom. And so it wasn't a big step away from my background, and it checks a lot of the same boxes that Princeton, Cornell, the Ivy League schools check. And so it felt comfortable, and it was just the right move for me and my family at the time.
What I think is really interesting is that you took over a new program, and you still managed to find a way to get quite a bit of retention on there. Like you have, I believe it's 5 guys that played starters minutes, right? That played at least 23 minutes a game. And 6 players from the program back. Like that's not usual in college basketball in 2024. How did you make that happen?
Well, I'd like to take a lot of credit for it, but it goes back to what I said. There's a lot of change in college basketball, and a lot of it is transactional. And but we still offer a William and Mary degree, and so I don't know. I don't think it was me so much as weigh the benefits of leaving this degree behind you versus having it in 25 years. And for me, having gone through similar situations, similar degrees, similar experiences that they will have as to me, a William and Mary degree means a lot in the world as you go forward. And so I think the guys who remained, we had some conversations. They were excited about what basketball would look like, but I think also we are as good an education as you're going to get, as good a future as you will have. And so they look forward to not passing up that future for the current, the current stuff that's presented to them.
What have you challenged Gabe this year? Obviously, we know he's an elite shooter, but what have you challenged him with watching tape and obviously seeing him in the preseason?
Well, I think he is an elite shooter, and so almost reminding him that he's an elite shooter and he's to shoot it, and his teammates, his coaches are expecting to know when he's going to shoot it, which should be often. And he's been just a joy to coach. He's completely bought into what we're doing. We're doing things maybe a little bit different, but new things that we've brought to the table. He's on board, just like the other guys. They're completely sort of given over to maybe the new way we want to play. And so I don't challenge him too much. He seems pretty self-motivated. I think the challenge for me is to make sure that that we're doing the right things by him as much as possible.
When are you getting Chattanooga on the schedule?
We are not, unless they make a good
Will
offer.
you never? Will you wait? Because Scott and Bryce won't play each other. Like they won't. Like one of them wouldn't even. I think it was Bryce wouldn't go into the Big 12 when he maybe had an opportunity because he didn't want to play against Scott. Will you never play your brother?
Probably not. I think most of those brothers would say no. It's no fun. I am a Chattanooga diehard fan, every day of the week. I'm screaming at the TV. I'm coaching more than my brother. So it's a tough business, and you're rooting for people you like, and that goes for other. Chris Mooney's up the road at Richmond. I've known him for 30 years. I don't want to play them personally. We are, and so there's guys in this business that have known each other forever and are rabid fans of the other program. So we will try to avoid each other as much as we can.
That's, on the court
funny
and
that
off,
you say that.
right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's funny you say that because Jeff and I have known each other for a long time, and I love nothing more than just putting him in his place and beating him no matter what it is that we are playing. So it's a little bit different dynamic when you get into the coaching ranks. Listen, Brian, congratulations on the new job. Best of luck this season coming up. You have a team that's going to be able to make a little bit of noise here in the CAA. We'll be watching you pick off a big win so we can get you back on the field of 68. We need an upset here at some point in November.
I would love it. Thanks very much for what you guys do.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it,
Brian.
Thanks
appreciate it, man.
Here. We have one more coach here on CAA Media Day on the field of 68. King Rice from Monmouth will be joining us in just a second here. The big change with the Monmouth program is King Rice's son is no longer a member of Monmouth. He graduated Xander Rice after averaging more than 20 points a game, which is almost as big of a hole to fill as if I had left the field of 68. Goodman King, what's going on, man? How you doing? It's good to see you.
How you doing, guys? How you doing,
great,
Jeff? How you doing, Rob? Good to be here.
So
let me apologize.
Rob just said it. Go ahead.
Our internet went out, so I'm on our phone right now. So I'm small, but we're here.
Hey, Goodman's internet went out too, so we've been there with the technological difficulties here so far on the show, and we made it through, man. That's what we do. We persevere here, King. That's how we do it on the field.
There you go. There you go. That's what we're trying to do at Mom.
What? All right. So what's life like without your kid? Like, I know how much you enjoy coaching him, and obviously he thrived there. Sad? A little bit sad?
You know what? Super sad. Just as a dad, when I dropped him off at Bucknell years ago, I was crying through their campus like snot bubbles because it was his first time going away from home. And then this year, when he was leaving to go to Greece, like when he pulled off, I'm standing in the driveway where we used to shoot every day and do all this stuff when he was a little kid. And I'm like, come on, man, what am I doing crying? He's 24 years old. I'm out in the driveway crying as he pulls off. So it's a proud dad moment. Super happy for him. It was great having him home every day. It was great being able to say I was his coach. But now he's moved on, and the program's in a good spot. And the guys on the team still talk to him all the time. He's very close with these guys. So he's gone, but he's still very, very close.
Was it nice to get him off of the parental payroll, so to speak, now that he's making a little bit of his own money playing in Greece?
Well, he's a good negotiator because he there you go, Jeff. There you go. He got me to agree to pay for his car still. Obviously still on our insurance. And I
think
told
you're
him
a pushover, King. I think you're a push
to be a tough guy, and now I'm like the soft dad and the easy coach.
Man. All right, let's talk about your team now a little bit. A 10-minute break, 10-minute window with you. Jack Collins had a great year last year. Obviously a local kid. You don't have a lot coming back, 2 returning starters, obviously with Jarrett and Jack. What are you expecting from, I guess, each of them this season? They're going to have to make a jump.
Well, first off, Jack Collins has been incredible. He's great on defense. And he had as good of a summer working on his jump shot, working on not turning the ball over, just growing his game up. We were very fortunate that no one stole him from us in the portal, because he's a guy that can guard multiple positions and he can really shoot the ball. And now he's in a leadership role. and it's fun to watch him just be the guy now that says a lot more. That's not afraid to lead our defense and tell everybody where they need to be and what we need to do. And he's been tremendous since the day he's been here, and now he's a junior. So now I think more people are going to understand